So, we are going to be watching. So, I'm going to be playing Vampire Survivors, by the way. But while that's happening, I am going to be we're going to be watching. So, for Curse and people in chat, I don't know if you've ever heard of Nick Fuentes. But apparently, Homeboy had a... So, he's been banned off quite a few platforms at this point. I believe there's even some banks and stuff that don't allow him to have an account with them and stuff. But anyways, and he's banned off Twitch and all that shit. But anyways, so I guess he was having a Twitter space with Tate and a bunch of the other dipshits, and I think Sneako was there as well. And they ended up having a couple of people in there to actually challenge them, I guess. And Destiny ended up in there at some point. And this seemed like this would be a fucking hilarious debate to watch. If I were to take a guess early, Destiny's probably going to roll the fuck out of them. But we'll see. If nothing else, I will get some of the most retarded shit I've ever heard in my life from Fuentes. Or Tate. Probably both. Let's hop into it. Damn. Can you hear that, by the way, Curse?
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the framers,
100%.
the law.
Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that.
Let me rewind that because I don't think that actually played audio for y'all.
Why not go live in to his audience about leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all. First,
you don't know anything.
Destiny, I want to understand your worldview.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the founding fathers, the framers,
100%.
The law.
Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that. Anything. But
Okay,
you get
so
all
then why
information
the
media
in this
articles.
country? Why not go live in Rome or go live in the Catholic Vatican or go live in prehistoric wherever the in the United States and try to change this into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about? Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneako, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that?
But Destiny, I was going back and forth with Nick and Andrew on this. Is that where do you draw the line?
Let me know if that
line is,
if the actual window audio is too loud,
by
by the way.
On stage that some of you agree with.
Can I disagree with? Fuck! I needed 700.
Where would you say that line should be drawn?
Okay.
Well, wait, I'm on Destiny's blacklist. He cannot speak to me because I'm on his blacklist.
Are we talking about for? Are we talking
I forget
about
that Fuentes is actually a 5-year-old.
For platform community guideline purposes, or what do you mean?
Let's keep it more broad. Free speech purposes.
Well, I mean,
where do you draw? Is it so? Elon has drawn. Okay, so Destiny is
all right, bro. Like I don't even know what the comment on that.
No. Give us an exception here, Destiny. If you can speak to Nick. If we can have the exception, Destiny, we'd be very grateful. But on a serious note, Destiny, where do you draw the line? Because Elon was asked that question. I think he was asked. We were doing a space on Brazil. When he was asked that question, he said, "A country's law, even though he might disagree with it, that's that's the line he cannot cross because he's running a business." Where do you think that line should be drawn, Destiny?
Well,
because we've been having sorry. I just want to add one more. Go ahead, Nick. Go ahead, Destiny.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, like to say the line is drawn at the law. I mean, it's the most boring answer ever. Obviously, and if you're a business owner, you kind of have to operate there. But that's not the only place you can operate, right? Business owners can also make suggestions to Congress. They can have their appearances. They can talk to whoever they want to talk to. They can push culturally for the norms to change. In terms of like where it should be, I mean, I like the United States freedom of speech. I think that sometimes people speak about it in kind of an ignorant way. Like, for instance, when we talk about TikTok, it's kind of funny that people think it's unfathomable that a foreign adversary literally having connections to so many different American cell phones.
So yeah, that's something a lot of people I don't think get, is that there's a difference between like the law that you can have the freedom of speech or whatever, and then whether or not Twitter or TikTok or whatever the fuck wants you to have that on their platform, right? Those are two fundamentally different things. It's what a private company wants on their platform, and then it's what the government allows you to have, right? Those are two very fundamentally different things. And part of the problem, and I'm sure Dustin's about to say this, part of the problem too is a lot of these people that like preach for freedom of speech are like the most like hateful and like racist people ever. But when they start preaching about freedom of speech, are like, well, I don't really hate Jews. I just, I hate that they're like in the majority of the entertainment industry and blah blah blah. But like, they'll start doing the fucking, well, I love everybody, but blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Like it's, it's very stupid. Like I don't get it, bro. I would respect it more if you were, well, I didn't mean to do that. If you were like 10 toes down on an issue, right? If you were absolutely 10 toes down on that issue and you like, how do I word this? Like if you have an extreme position on an issue and you're just absolutely 10 toes down on it, like you just slap your dick on the table and like and it completely express how you feel. I respect that a lot more. Then when you get pressed on an issue, you're like, well, actually, I love everybody. Like, stop. Especially because fucking Fuentes is here. Fuentes has literally said, he has literally said that fucking a black girl to him is the same as fucking a dog. Like, like I don't know why he does this. It's so strange.
And having their thumb on social media, which we all know is incredibly like influential and important. The idea that wouldn't be a thing we'd want to avoid as the United States, I think it's an easy to understand idea without needing to invoke any kind of weird conspiratorial nonsense.
That shit's not bad.
Yeah, Israel.
Cool. But yeah, no, I mean, I like the United States. I don't think we should have hate speech laws. I think you should be allowed to say more or less what you want to say in terms of like legal protections. And then obviously platforms can regulate speech as they want, but I think they should lean a little bit more on the freedom of speech side and just give people the opportunity or the tools to like block or mute people if they don't want to hear them.
So my next question, Destiny, is, do you think Nick should be censored?
What, from X or from Twitter?
Social media.
No, I think Nick's pretty harmless. I think if he wants to do his little thing, he can do what he wants.
Okay.
I just got something real quick I want to say with TikTok, because I find it very interesting. Real quick, I just want to say this with TikTok. There was a push to ban TikTok for years on a national security premise because, obviously a foreign adversary has created the app. But I find it very interesting that a bill didn't get passed to get TikTok banned until what? Oh, it was overwhelmingly pro-Palestine, about 70 to 30%. Versus being pro-Israel. But once it became pro-Palestine and people became extremely critical of Israel, guess what? Oh, we got to pass the bill and get rid of TikTok.
Ed, I know you were jumping in.
That's arguably a good point. Like, that's probably a point I would agree with. But, I don't know. It's a point I would agree with, probably. But, like, I feel like Myron's gonna... Hold on, give me a second. I apologize. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, I apologize. There it is. Anyways, I feel like Myron's gonna like try to twist it in like a weird ass way, so I'm hesitant to agree. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it is weird that like none of the attempts to get TikTok off the App Store and stuff are like banned from United States or whatever the fuck. It's weird that a lot of it never went through before, but now all of a sudden like everybody in the courts and stuff want it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we were talking about Nick's ban. I know you were banned, I think it was 2021 or something, and then Elon actually let you back on, or X let you back on after Elon took over. And then I think it was the same day you were banned again. And is there, like, do we know what you were actually banned for? Because I know doing research, I know you had a post where you said who controls the mind, and it was all these Jewish people in the media. And then you also were in a...
See, I bet money. I would be willing to bet money right now. This man is gonna weasel out of this so fucking hard, it's not even funny. Because anytime he gets pressed on this, Fuentes never, like, really answers the question. And he, like, kind of tries to turn it into, like, well, you can't talk about, like, challenging the status quo, which, that's just not true. You definitely can. You can have edgy opinions, but, like, people like Fuentes and Tate are just, like, straight up hateful. And, like, you can't, like, do this thing where you want to have, like, edgy opinions, but then when you get pressed on, you're like, well, I'm just challenging the status quo or whatever. Like, I love everybody, but, you know, I just want to, like, challenge ideas and shit. Like, that's just not true. God damn it, bro.
Space where you said, yes, we love Hitler, bitch. Like, do we know which of those got you banned?
Well, you know, when I got...
I'm sorry. It's just funny to me to have in the same sentence asking why you got banned and then immediately saying, well, I love Hitler. Like, I'm sorry. It's just like, you know, maybe that's why you got banned, dog. Maybe. Just a little bit.
Unbanned, I was under the impression that the new principle was free speech. So I didn't say anything illegal, and they didn't tell me.
So again, there's a difference between illegal freedom of speech and so there's a difference between legal freedom of speech and then like what you can say on Twitter or TikTok or Twitch or whatever the fuck. Like, if Elon decides he doesn't want you talking about a certain topic on Twitter, he can say that because he owns the fucking site. It's a private company. He doesn't have to let everybody have access to it. What was the other thing he said? There's something else I was going to talk about.
You know, when I got unbanned, I was under the impression that the new principle was free speech. So I didn't say anything illegal, and they didn't tell me what I was banned for. But I only posted like 3 things. I posted the red media. I said I did my Twitter space, and that's funny. You know, you think, oh, you said you love Hitler. I love everyone. I love you. I love Destiny.
Bro, this fucking weasel. This actual weasel. Like, I'm sorry, you can't. What? Fucking Jesus Christ, bro. You can't do this thing where, like, anytime somebody presses you on you saying that you love a fucking war criminal dictator like Hitler, you can't, like, they'd be like, wow, I love everybody. Like, that just doesn't fucking work. Jesus Christ. What the fuck?
Love everybody.
But it's very different saying, but it's very yeah. It's 2 seconds. It's like, guys, 2 seconds. So this is the slippery slope. Hold on. Yeah, I've just. Okay. Yeah, I am speaking, so I'm not letting it go. But Nick, do you think so? First a question, and we'll ask Elon that question on why you were banned, if you manages to drop by. But the question is, do you think that particular statement? So obviously you can't compare loving Destiny to loving Hitler for obvious reasons. But do you think that's the statement that got you banned, or do you think it was something else? Nick Fuentes. And I hope you're not being banned.
Nick is bugging out.
I don't know if he's rugging or his account just got banned again. I'll be honest, I think it would be funny.
Maybe he's making love to
Hitler. Go ahead, Destiny. Go ahead, Destiny. Go ahead, Destiny.
I wish that we had, like, better freedom of speech defenders. Like, listen, it's the United States of America. If you want to say you love Hitler, if you want to be anti-Semitic, you should be, like, allowed to say those things. I don't like it when people get banned for being anti-Semitic and then they say they weren't anti-Semitic, but then they also defend freedom of speech, but they won't say those things. It's ironic because all the people that talked about the Jew stuff are are like the people who are the most scared to own the things that they've actually said. Like, it's the United States of America. If you want to be anti-Semitic or anti-Jew, you have the right to say that publicly. Like, there's no law against like saying that publicly. Like, champion.
Hey, can I jump in now? My thing was glitching.
Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
I want to answer this. Yeah, so you're right. We cannot compare.
So before this dipshit starts, yeah. So that's my thing. So I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with you getting banned off a platform because you said something that the company that owns it doesn't agree with, because it's a private company. They can do whatever the fuck they want. But at the same time, if you're gonna, you can go for free speech and say some like crazy like racist anti-Semitic shit if you really want to. That's fine. You have like the right to do that or whatever. But that does not mean you have the freedom of consequence. Like, you can say whatever you want technically, but if I get up here and I make some like really crazy ass comments about people's race and stuff, then obviously there's gonna be a bunch of consequences for that. You can't pull the I hate Jews card and then like be mad when you get canceled from a bunch of shit. Like, that just doesn't work. You know. And like Destiny said, I hate that Fuentes is such a fucking coward that every time he gets pressed on his comments about Jews and stuff, he falls back to the, well, I love everybody. I just, you know, I just want to make America into a fucking theocracy. Like, I'm just sorry. It's so fucking... I can't, bro. I truly can't.
You're loving Hitler to loving Destiny. Destiny is far worse.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you
were going to say that. How original.
Man, look, let's try to last more than 24 hours today.
Come on, that's a good riff. No, you're right. But, well, here's the thing. I think that in those cases, in those edge cases, yes, like, we do have to permit people to say things that even everybody disagrees with. We have to permit people to say things that anybody would say, oh, you know, of course you shouldn't be able to say that. That's where it matters. The limits of free speech, that's where it becomes tested. We don't have free speech so that people can say, I like Burger King instead of Wendy's. No, we have free speech so that people can say things that are outrageous and question fundamental assumptions, like about Hitler, like about certain political myths, or, you know, how our political system is founded. And so when Destiny says, oh, well, you don't own what you say, it's not about that. It's just about if you are able to discern the tone when someone is talking or what the meaning is. You look at a lot of the things I say, a statement like that is obviously said in a tongue-in-cheek. It's punchy, it's outrageous, it's intended to be. That's the obvious purpose. And all of a...
Okay, so Fuentes is clearly lying, obviously. Obviously saying, I love Hitler, or whatever, is not like a haha funny edgy joke. I'm all for some edgy jokes. I make edgy jokes on here, but like you can't make a crazy stance like that and then like when you get called on it you're like, well, it was just an edgy joke. Like, that does not work at all, clearly. I truly hate people that like make really crazy firm stances on topics and then like when they get pressed on they're like, well, actually it was just an edgy joke, I didn't really mean it. Like, that doesn't work.
Sudden when somebody who is like, and by the way, I should point out, while we're playing this game about, you know, you said this, you said that, when I say something like what I don't want to get banned, but when I say something like what I said a year ago that got me re-banned after I was reinstated, everybody looks at that and they rightly say it's outrageous, but there's a complete context denial. People hear that statement and they go,
there's no context though.
Banned. Because I'm a right-wing guy and I have all these views and
I'm
like
my god,
American.
I hate this red zone.
Hang on. I'm making an important point. When Destiny says, I think that the Palestinians should...
Bro, you've been yapping for like 6 minutes. What do you mean? Hold on. But yeah, so that's just not true. Because there's people like Shapiro and Tucker and all these people. Tucker's fired now, but he can make his own platform if he wants to. And I mean, Tucker got fired for straight up lying to people, but you saw people like Ben Shapiro, you saw people like Peterson, you saw oh god, what's the dude that people were canceling for his fight with his wife? Oh Jesus Christ, I can't think of the name. fuck, I can't think of the name, but you know who I'm talking about. There's still all these people that are still platformed and still do really well on Twitter and on YouTube and all these places. So like pulling the it's because I'm right wing card just isn't true. It's just straight up not true. Like, stop capping. Stop with the cap.
Be genocided. Ha ha ha. Nobody looks at that and says, oh, he should be canceled. What an outrageous thing to say. Some people do, but he's on YouTube. He hangs out with Shapiro, Jordan Peterson. When I say something because I'm right-wing and it's outrageous, there's no charity. People pretend like they don't know what humor is. People pretend.
So the difference here, right, is that when Destiny makes a really edgy joke, it's very obviously a joke. And, like, I think I want to say the comment he's talking about in particular was Destiny made a joke about, like, what was it? It was either I think it was, I want to say it was like if our Hamas really I want to say it was Hamas that he's making a joke about. It was like if Hamas really monogamous if they what was it? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it, actually, real quick. Give me a second. Give me 1 second. Because I want to get this right here. Liberal. Give me 1 second, I apologize. Try to find this tweet. Okay, give me 1 second. I think I have it here. Yes, here it is. So I think the tweet he's referencing is, do Palestinian women count as polyamorous when their husbands continue to leave them for IDF vessels? Like, yes, it's a really edgy comment. But, like, it's about a topic he already debates, right? And it's not like a hateful position, I guess. But, like, when Fuentes talks about these things, right, he very clearly actually hates the people he's talking about. It's not like haha, I made an edgy comment. Like, it's, you actually hate these people. So there's a very stark difference. You can make comments about positions you have. You can make edgy jokes about those, but you can't make very hateful comments and then act like they're edgy jokes later on. That just doesn't work.
They don't know what rhetoric is. You know, that's just who he is. He's an odious person. Get him out of here. And same goes for everyone here. Same thing happened to Tate. Similar things have happened to Elon. It's happened to Alex Jones. When left-wing people do or say things that are just as bad, just as racist, or just as violent, or whatever, it's always with them, oh, well, I'm sure he was joking. You know, Hassan Piker can say, we deserve 9/11. As far as I know, he's still on Twitch. I'm not. But what is materially different from saying...
Now, to be clear, right, Hassan got in a lot of shit from the community for saying that we deserve 9/11 or whatever. Hassan got a lot of... He still gets a lot of shit for that one, as he should. I think he got a couple month ban off of Twitch, I think, if I recall correctly. I could be wrong on that one, though. But, like, his reputation took a huge hit from that. It's not like nobody talked about it. So I don't know where he's getting this, where, like, lefties never get in trouble for the things they say, but, like, people on the right do. Like, that's just not true. That's straight up not true. You could actually argue that the right is better at social media as a whole. Destiny's one of the only people that does social media well on the left.
America deserved 9/11. 3,000 souls, innocent, were killed. We deserve that. That's a fine statement. You're on Twitch and Twitter, and there's no censorship. When Destiny says, I think Palestinians should be genocided. Ha ha ha. He's still on YouTube. He's still on all these platforms.
Also, side note, it's very strange that, like, Fuentes wants the pearl clutch on that, but then he also, in the same breath, wants to question the Holocaust, right? Like, it's... that's so bizarre. That he wants to pearl clutch that hard on that.
Nobody even thinks twice. When Nick Fuentes makes a joke, or hang on, when I say something like, oh, you know, whatever I said, I don't want to say it again. Bro,
you have been yapping for like 10 minutes.
Oh, well, he's a horrible person. He's an avowed neo-Nazi. Look at what, you know, they're going to reprint the quote like Ed Krasenstein did without the laughing or the tone. And that's BS. Like, let's just be honest. That's, everyone can recognize what's going on there.
This is
so let me just
a quick question. Just on that point.
Before that point, just because there was something mentioned, there's this important sensitive thing. So Destiny, on the joke that Nick, and obviously it's a joke that many will find insensitive, offending, etc. On the joke of you being a more despicable person, I think he said, than Hitler. Now, I think he meant it as a joke. Do you think such jokes, Destiny, again you said that Nick is on your blacklist, do you think such jokes should be censored or they should be allowed? What's your position on that, Destiny?
If you're talking legally, I think you should be allowed to joke about whatever you want to joke about. But again, like, the problem again is, like, the advocates for freedom of speech are so, like, boring and dishonest. Like, Fuentes is not banned for telling jokes. Fuentes is banned because he jokes about things he actually believes.
Yes,
right?
thank you. Jesus
Fuentes,
Christ.
If you ask me, Destiny, do you think all the Palestinians should be genocided? I mean, if you listen to the rest of that clip, I go, man, it's like a really situation. I don't know how it's going to end. It seems like there's no way out. Like, that's my answer. If you ask Nick, do you really think that, like, Jews run 70% of the world and the white race is being bred out of existence by mass immigration that's facilitated by secret Jewish financiers who also control all of our foreign policy and make us allegiant to Israel, and they've done this for thousands of years, and that's why they're kicked out of every single... He'd be like, well, yeah, you know, and also, you know, 6 million cookies, right? Like, the difference is Nick isn't just...
No, but Destiny,
again, like, own it.
Destiny, quick question. No, but Destiny, like, do you not agree that a person can ask a question, so they can believe in a certain ideological position, and then...
See, yeah, so that's the difference, right? Is that Fuentes isn't joking when he makes these comments, right? But Destiny is. He's very clearly joking when he makes these edgy tweets and stuff, but Fuentes very clearly means a lot of the stuff he talks about. But when like when Destiny makes a joke about like the idea of missiles and stuff, like, he's clearly joking. Or when he makes a really edgy comment about some of his stances, obviously he's fucking joking. Also, give me 1 second, let me fix my avatar shit. Give me a second here. Is this the right one? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, how does that look? But yeah, like, Fuentes wants to cry wolf, but then in the same breath wants to actually mean the things he talks about, and you just can't do that. Like, I can't have a really edgy stance and then make jokes about that same stance. That just doesn't work at all. Especially when you want to cry wolf whenever you get pressed on it.
Ask a question that people would find harmful, as it or find it emotionally hurting. As an example, you said you know you're anti-Islam or you're Islamophobic, and then you make jokes about it. So you can clearly have a position and yet make jokes about it, right?
Well, yeah, no. But if you were to ask me, Destiny, why do you make jokes against Islam? I wouldn't be a pussy and say, oh, bro, I'm just joking. I would say, because I don't like Islam. I really don't. I hate the religion. Like, I would be honest about it. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh,
yeah,
those are just jokes.
So let me ask Nick. And this is the thing. So why is and this is the real question people are asking, like, why is Destiny able to make those comments and someone like Nick gets banned? So Nick, same question to you. Your position in terms of whether you believe that certain people run the world or whatever it is, I mean, have you...
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's just answer that. Is that, like, he's able to make those jokes because he's honest about it, right? It's not like when somebody presses Destiny on a topic that he makes comments about, he's like, well, actually, I didn't really mean those. Like, that's just not true. Which when he asked him about Islam, he's very upfront that he doesn't like Islam as a religion. But like when you press Fuentes on an issue, Fuentes is like, well, actually, I love everybody. Like that's just not true. You know what I mean? Like the.
You hid from that position? Like that's his argument.
Absolutely not. No, but here's the difference. People are not saying, oh, you believe that Jews have disproportionate influence in media. I don't think anyone would even disagree with that. I don't even think Jews would disagree with that. Also, it's an empirical question. So people, if they're interested, can go and look it up. You know, it's actually not a completely subjective question. It's actually quite objective. But that's not what people accuse me of, and that's like a very slippery way to frame it.
Yes, but you also hate to look at statistics
they should
of
be
shit.
Genocided. So of course I don't believe they should be genocided. Okay, fair enough. People watch my speech from a year ago or 2 years ago, and they say, oh, he wants to kill all people that aren't like him. In the same speech,
you do, literally.
I say, we love everyone, we love even our enemies, we need to pray for them, we need mercy and compassion towards them, we don't need cruelty. I think even in that same speech, not even about Jewish people or Israel, in that same speech, I said, when I look at homosexuals and transsexuals, I don't like all the cruelty visited upon them. We need to pray for them. We need to bring them into the church, blah, blah, blah. So it's like the same speech where people say, oh, Nick said he wants to kill everyone and all of his opponents. I'm literally as Destiny said with his comments about genociding Palestinians, blah, 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 context. So it's like it's completely misrepresented. The difference is the ADL and the SPLC aren't clipping Destiny's joke and throwing it on social media every time he makes a post. The difference is when an article is written about Destiny, there isn't a preamble that says Destiny, a live streamer who said Palestinians should be genocided, but they do that for me. Every unfortunate...
Yes, but again, the difference is that Destiny isn't calling for hate for that entire group. You are Fuentes. There is a massive difference in like how much there's a massive difference in that, right? In the sense that like yes, Destiny has some very strong takes and it makes jokes about them and stuff, but when you press him on those issues, he stands 10 toes down on them, or he'll at least argue with you about it. Fuentes is just such a pussy with his stances.
Thing, joke, exaggeration, whatever you want to call it, always with the most uncharitable interpretation. That is on my Wikipedia. That is the preamble of every article written about me, and I'm not going to hide behind my real views. Okay.
Are you saying that all of that was taken out of context?
Saying that we're going to kill everybody or whatever? Yeah, it absolutely is taken out of context. I mean, we have to give me a specific example.
Shit.
How many Jews do you think died in the Holocaust? Well, there's a specific. How many Jews died in the Holocaust?
So Nick, just a quick question, right? When you've explained the disparity in terms of the rules, like basically Destiny can attack Islam, Muslims, and he's got no problems, and you have been banned. Now the question becomes, when you know that that's the level of Sophia that we live in, that they...
Also, to be fair, I wouldn't say that he has no problems. Destiny gets pushed back all the time on his stances. So I don't know where he's getting that.
it is this disparity, do you then, like, now you made a joke, didn't you, right? And it was clearly a joke, but now that could be snipped and that could maybe be used to get you banned or whatever it may be. So does that make you become, you know, a bit, does that make you become, well, obviously it hasn't, but should it then make you become a lot more careful in even the jokes you make?
No, absolutely not. Because what I have learned, because I've been doing this for a little while now, longer than many people, what I've learned is it doesn't matter, actually, what you say or how carefully you say it. Keith Woods is on here. He just jumped on the space. This is a guy who, I mean, me and my followers, it's like an inside joke that his streams are so, they don't have any rhetoric. They don't have any, there's no jokes. It's very dry. It's all philosophy. This guy is like the most controlled, disciplined, and by controlled, I mean he has self-control, not like controlled off. I mean, he's self-controlled, restrained, disciplined, and even when he got popular last year for the ban, he started the Ban the ADL campaign, hashtag, they dug up like a tweet from 2 years prior where he said something like, sarcastically, oh, I guess I'm a raging anti-Semite because blah, blah, blah. The ADL cut that, and now every time there's an article about Keith Woods, it says, self-avowed raging anti-Semite. One tweet from years ago said in an obviously, I mean, Keith knows the details, so he can reproduce the tweet, but it was so obviously, he wasn't saying, hey, it was obviously rhetorical, it was obviously sarcastic, so it doesn't matter. All the videos, all these dry videos about Platonism and, you know, video essays and articles about birth rates in a very measured academic way. He said one thing sarcastic one time. They dug in, found it. Some researcher reproduced it. Now he forever will be known as the self-avowed raging anti-Semite. So I've seen many things like that. So the question is, do you like self-censor and impose a chilling effect? And, you know, we can't be funny, we can't make jokes, we can't be rhetorical. We have to kind of go through this translator and be, as Tate said at the beginning, you neuter yourself. They want you neuter.
So that's just not true, though. Like, again, I don't know the dude that Fuentes is talking about. But Fuentes himself, that's just not true. It's not that, again, like Destiny said earlier, he didn't get banned for making edgy jokes. He got banned for being like straight up hateful and anti-Semitic. He was literally one of the managers or whatever. He worked with Kanye on his like big fucking I Love Hitler campaign or whatever. So like I don't I don't know what Blood is yapping about. Like again, you can't have it both ways. Like, you can't like make these like crazy ass takes and like wild anti-Semitic stances, and then when people call you on, you're like, well, actually, I love everybody. I was just joking. I didn't really mean that. Like, you can't do that. That doesn't work. Like, let's say I wanted to have like a really crazy anti-Palestinian stance on this Israel versus Palestine thing. I can't then, like, when I get pressed on to be like, well, actually, I was joking. I love everybody. I didn't really mean what I said. Like, that just doesn't work at all.
With the chilling effect from these free speech regulations, or do you just kind of go out? I feel like I have filled up the room with such a cacophony, like, there's just like this ambient perception of me as this like vaguely horrible person. Now I can say whatever.
It's not
I
a perception. You are a scumbag.
And you know, and I think people can recognize if they watch my show. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Nick. I'm gonna put you on the spot and then get Destiny's thoughts. I'm gonna ask you a tough question.
Sure.
And I'm pretty confident you will not get banned answering that question. But what is the most controversial belief that you currently hold? And the mic is yours. It doesn't matter how controversial it is, because then my next question for Destiny and anyone else would be, should that belief be censored? Should the ability to speak about that belief be censored? Nick, the mic is yours.
Okay.
He's going to lie.
Right now is talking about Jewish people. You know, because I talk about race and I talk about gender and a lot of things. And the biggest taboo is, as we all know, talking about Jewish people's influence. And they could be right-wing or left-wing. I think, though, it seems like the influence of Israel is maybe the biggest one, because even conservatives talk about George Soros. So I would say it's Jewish influence. And you know, my answer for that is I think that only Christians should be in power in America. And I don't know the details of how you'd work that out in terms of you pass a law or there's a qualification, but I think that we should have all Christian legislators and Christian presidents and Christian Supreme Court judges.
I truly don't understand it. Truly. Like, I just don't understand how in the same breath you can be like, well, I love everybody. I didn't really mean those edgy things I said. But in the same breath, you're like, okay, so I want to change the country into a fucking Christian theocracy where only Christians can be in power. Those are the only people I trust. Like, that's so wild. That is absolutely bonkers. That, like, in that same breath, you could say both things. And not think you're fucking incredibly autistic or something. Like, I don't get it. Also, again, this man has been yapping for like 20 minutes.
I would say that's probably my most controversial.
I'd say taboo number one. We've discussed this point in previous spaces. I want to ask you, and Keith, I'm going to go to you in a second, but give me one more, Nicholas, and then we'll go Nick, and then we'll go to Destiny afterwards. The second taboo thing, and I've got a quote here about. I'm going to read out a quote. Could be out of context. Maybe it could be the second one when you said it could be a joke as well. We need to go back to burning women alive. Again, if I took it out of context, I do apologize. But can you maybe elaborate that quote? And could that be the second most taboo belief that you hold? Which I'd be surprised if you actually hold that
I
belief.
need to get garlic in my next level.
Damn it. She didn't like that I said I want to burn women alive. That's obviously a joke. And if you look at the whole context of that clip, I said in a very deadpan way, I'm like, you know, women are casting spells and they're becoming witches. In the Middle Ages, they used to throw them in the river. They used to burn them alive. I'm like, and here they are lying on the stand about, I think in that case it was Johnny Depp. I'm like, they're lying about Johnny Depp casting spells. I'm like, we got to burn these women alive. Obviously, a joke.
Oh, okay. I'd put that I'd put that in an extremely bad joke, Bus. Yes.
Can I ask Nick a question?
Yes, but the problem is if you have like this history of making like really hateful stances and like hating people of other like other religions or races or whatever, right? If you have this history of doing that, then obviously when you make comments like that, people are going to take them a lot more seriously than like if right? Because most of the time I make edgy comments, I'm clearly joking. Like I even change my tone, right? And sometimes I'll even say that I'm joking. Let me grab that. So if I make a crazy comment like that, most people are gonna assume I'm joking. Because I already make fairly edgy jokes, but like when I'm talking about politics and stuff, my tone changes quite a bit. But the problem is let's do lightning again. The problem is when Fuentes makes these comments, he also makes like very extreme, very hateful stances in the same breath. But then he gets mad when people take him seriously when he makes very extreme jokes. Like you can't have it both ways. Like that's just straight up not possible.
Your reaction is what makes it funny.
Let me grab the water.
I would stand as tribute for you to burn me at the stake, but you'd have to be tied to me.
So what would be before Ed and Keith, just 2 seconds. So Nick, what would be the second most taboo belief that you hold, and I want Destiny's thoughts on either of these, whether they should be censored. And I'll ask Ed the same question, and then Keith.
Probably my other one is that race is real. You know, I'm a race realist. I think that there's genetic differences between the races as opposed to everything being environmental. So I mean, and those are broad categories of like, you know, talking about Jewish people, talking about biological diversity, human biological diversity. That's what people would say.
So again, here's just straight up lying. There's a very stark difference in me saying that like, in me providing like actual stats and saying that like, maybe certain races, like, I don't know, like, are more athletic than others or something, right? There's a very stark difference between that and him talking about the fucking warrior gene in black people and saying that like, fucking a black person is the equivalent to fucking a dog. Like, those are very different things. And it's, like, a wild... I don't know... It's hard to tell if Fuentes is just the stupid or if he's like carefully he's being very like selective in how he words his opinion, like his very extreme opinions, right? And that he's like just choosing not to go mask off in this specific debate.
Is the dissident right? Those are like the two biggest taboo things they believe, and then so for me, I guess that those would probably be the big two.
So Destiny, these are two beliefs and I'm guessing you disagree with. So should Nick have the right to speak about those two topics on any social media platform, not just X?
I mean, personally, I
Okay,
think
good.
that if you're
I'm not mad about
media
getting
platform
this
and you're hosting political
the sacred
conversations, I
water.
think almost any like any kind of mainstreamish, like if more than 1% of people believe in it, there should probably be conversation happening about it. So I would say that everything he's brought up, yeah, you should be able to talk about on most mainstream like social media platforms, assuming
Delaying
conversation's
again.
happening, right? Like if you've got like a social media website for, you know, people talking about, you know, their cats and dogs, then I can understand banning the speech there. But for places like Facebook or X, you know, Twitter, like I can understand people wanting to have those conversations here, and you should be able to. But again, I would like to repeat the same thing I've said a million times. It is so boring that nobody will actually present what it is they actually believe. I don't know if it's strategy or I don't know if it's cowardice, but like
what is it do you think that I'm hiding? I mean,
you
just
just
say,
said
say
two
it straight
things
up.
that are objectively true that everybody believes in. Like Jews have a disproportionate. Jewish
So
people
what
have
am
a
I hiding?
Jewish people
What am
have
I
a
hiding? What am I hiding and not saying?
Say it. So
Well, I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that. I can give a reason why people would hide their beliefs on that. I mean, Destiny...
Bro, no one fucking cares.
If you want to hide your beliefs, that's fine, but then say that. Be like, yo, I'm not going to say what I actually believe because I'm not going to...
No, but what is...
You're muddying the waters because...
I can't say it, yeah. I'm just
well,
saying,
a lot of people don't...
Go ahead and say it.
I can't. Okay.
Go ahead, right now.
Say a minute ago that the Jewish thing was a myth and that like Jewish people don't have a disproportionate amount of power in the media?
Who would...
See, here's the thing, is that they're like, oh, Destiny, just say it, but like, there's like 3 people trying to overtalk Destiny at the same time. And I hate this, I hate it so much. It's such a cringe fucking tactic to do the fucking, well, just saying it, and then there's like 4 motherfuckers like trying to overtalk the person that's trying to get his opinion out. And on top of that, this whole like 20 minutes, Fuentes has been absolutely dominating the conversation and has been yapping and managed to say 0 things of importance.
Wait, hold on. It's 2 things, okay? One, Jews obviously have a disproportionate amount, and far more than the media, probably politically.
I'm not hearing what I'm hiding. I'm not hearing what I'm hiding.
Is
you made
don't
that
think...
accusation 3 times. I'm not hearing an
Can
example.
I finish a sentence? I know you're excited.
Yeah, answer the question. You're talking about other stuff. Answer the
but you cut me off like every 2 seconds.
No, you're not. You're going in another direction. Name one specific example, because you said it now like 5 times.
Yeah,
oh,
okay,
you're hiding. You won't say
I'm trying to get my answer. Eventually, you'll let me do it. I know you're excited.
Let's hear an example. Yeah, say the example.
Yes. So the idea that Jews disproportionately represent
There
some
we
part
go.
of like the power structures is not the controversial
Big dubs.
nor the strong claim. That is an objectively true
Let's
claim that
do
we see. The strong
luck.
claim is the idea that there is a secret cabal of Jewish people that are working to undermine other races across the world.
And then if I'm lucky on my next level, we'll get
all of those structures of power.
a 4-slot.
That's the controversial belief. That's the thing that you believe in and you preach. But then you come onto these platforms and you give the weak take of like, don't you think that like most of the people's in charge are like kind of more Jewish than like they really should be? Or the same thing with like the race and IQ thing. Like everybody who's reasonable about anything should acknowledge that there's going to be genetic differences, probably even genetic differences between groups of people. But that's not your claim. Your claim is black.
Yeah, so the big problem, right, is that Fuentes has these like really crazy opinions about Jews and stuff, but then when he's on like a public platform, right, on like a Twitter space or whatever, he wants to be really shy and be like a massive pussy. But also fucking W, let's go. Yeah, he wants to be a huge pussy about it. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Black people are dumber due to genetic reasons on whole versus white people. Like, that's the strong claim. You make the weak claim that is like everybody believes in it, but then like the strong claim goes unsaid, and that's usually what people are upset about. Which you can argue is good or bad, but
so
at least like own up, like man up and own your positions. Don't like say the most milquetoast, like obviously true things ever, and leave all the controversy, you know, behind you. That's weak.
Yeah, see, the difference is that when you say these things, you're rephrasing them in the liberal perception way. You say, well, if you believe in race realism, that means you believe black people are dumb. No, if you believe in human biodiversity, you believe
See,
that...
yet again, this man is just lying through his teeth. He has literally said, again, I've said it like 3 times, that, like, he said it before, that, he said before that, like, oh, like, black people have the warrior gene and shit. Like, he's saying it now that he doesn't actually, like, think that they're dumber than him or something, but, like, that's just not true. He's made fun of black people on quite a few occasions, and like I said, he's also said that, Jesus Christ, he's also said that, like I said, fucking a black person is, like, the equivalent of fucking a dog. Like, so I think, if I were to guess, I think he's, like, lying here to try to save face, possibly, would be my guess. Also, Jesus fucking Christ. I don't want to go that route. Okay, I can go this way.
That there are genetic differences between
Fucking
people.
dubs,
IQ is a
bro.
heritable trait, and blacks have a lower average IQ, on average, than white people. That's also a statistical fact. That's also true in SAT scores. It's also true in IQ
Where did
tests
you...
globally
Okay.
and in America. I've never hid from that.
You could maybe argue that they could... There may be some, like, weird statistic where they get, lower SAT scores on average or something, but that's probably because they're, like, in lower income neighborhoods or something, right? It's not the actual, like, race itself makes them dumber or something. Like, that's retarded.
I said that in front of a crowd of black people at Iowa State. I said that in front of Myron. Hang on, and Myron is here. I said that in front of a panel of all black women on Fresh and Fit.
That's a
because
fact.
you're just reframing what I'm saying
I'm not
in a
reframing
liberal
it.
way.
You're
And you're saying that if
different
someone
people are
believes in genetic differences, then that means that you believe black people are dumb.
Again, he's proving Destiny's point that he's such a pussy that he won't, like, make his strong claims in front of people. He'll only make them in front of, like, crowds that he don't have a problem with it. It's so fucking stupid. Again, I hate this thing where he's like in the crowds where he'll get brownie points for saying it. He's perfectly fine saying these crazy ass opinions, but then when he's in a crowd that he might get pushback, he's such a complete pussy that he won't make any of his actual opinions known. I hate it so much.
No,
and if you say that Jewish people influence society, you believe in a shadowy cabal where they're like evil wizards and blah blah blah. So it's like, of course, I'm not going to say the caricature and the reframing that you're giving it because you disagree. You just don't. You don't like that people find it persuasive. That's why you put me on a blacklist and said I will never stream a Nick Fuentes.
Bro, he is so ass mad about.
Then you gotta show up to derail and disrupt and say.
Bro is so ass mad about this blacklisting. Like, damn, dog, if you don't care about Destiny, right, you don't want to talk to him or whatever, why are you so fucking ass mad about this about being on his blacklist that you're like shitting and coming about it the entire fucking debate?
Oh, all the persuasive stuff. Well, he's just lying. There's secret evil views that he has that you just aren't hearing right now. So that's why you're gonna break your one rule. You know, you come on the podcast even though you quote unquote
you're obsessed with comic book villains.
Because as you said, I do like that movie. Because as you said a couple of years ago, you don't like when people like me talk to a large audience. I mean, you're the one that's hiding a political agenda.
To come here, okay? So I decided to come and hang out.
That's my career was over.
Just a real quick reframing. Like,
hold on. Just Ed and Keith. I want to ask you both the same question. Is like seeing that back and forth between Nick and Destiny.
God damn.
Is there anything in that back and forth that should have been censored? Is there anything that could have, that could be considered hate speech or could have led to violence and should not be allowed on X or any other platform?
Look, I think it should be up to the platform itself. If a platform wants to censor certain
I'm
types
leveling
of
up like a
hate speech or
motherfucker.
certain types of incitement of violence, I think they should be able to do that. I also think
even despite sorry to interrupt you, Ed, but despite the amount of influence they have now compared to 10-20 years ago, like if you give them that right now, they all just meet in one room, they can essentially control speech around the world.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's their right as a corporation. I don't,
Ed, what's the platform's primary objectives?
the platforms.
Oh, look at that. King Dipshit finally chimes in here.
All of them. Why do social media companies exist? What's their primary objective?
To make money.
To make money. And you're saying that they should be allowed to ban certain speech they don't like if that allows them to make more money, correct?
I believe, as in capitalism, I believe that's the way it should be.
So if Pfizer came along and decided...
That's such a dumb... That's such a dumb question, right? Because they're a private company. Obviously, they can ban whatever speech they want to ban. They're a fucking private company. If, like, Twitch thinks, like, I don't know, if they think, like, retard is a slur or something, right? They can ban that if they want to. I mean, that's... they're a private company. They're allowed to do that. This thing where, like, I can't believe Twitter would, like, take away the certain word or whatever. They can do whatever they want. They're a fucking private company. They can make the rules for the website whatever they want them to be.
Oh. To give a bunch of money to one of these social media platforms, would they allow anti-COVID vaccine conversations and speech or vaccine injury proof on their platform, or would they censor it to make as much money as possible?
I think it's up to them as a corporation to do as they please. Just like Donald Trump with Truth Social has censored liberals from his site.
That's fine, but we're talking about people. People getting
I think Elon Musk has the absolute right to run it.
This shit is getting crazy. This shit is getting cray-cray.
Terms that as long as something doesn't break the law, and I guess that can be, subjective to some, like what's going on in Brazil. I think that's his right, and I think, if that's the best way to run it, that his platform will probably succeed.
Cool. So vaccine, I understand what you're saying. So vaccine injuries do exist. However, the platform's objective is to make as much money as possible, and Pfizer is funding the platform, so they're going to pretend vaccine injuries do not exist. So they are purporting a false version of reality. They are creating and aiding the Matrix and making people
fire whatever. Put that much in the fire.
True, primarily for financial profit. And those with the global centralized capital can control narratives and can control the world even at a better level than most political parties. Would you agree with that?
Let's go.
Yeah, unmute Ed. I have to mute it 'cause
Wait,
there's
Pfizer
echo.
is not even worth that much money. Why would we assume Pfizer can control speech on...
It's an example.
Yeah, see, so you keep blaming it on the advertiser, the company that's paying these companies. It's up to the media company. It's up to their shareholders. What's in the best interest of those companies? That's how capitalism works in America. That's what think most conservatives embrace. They embrace capitalism. Let the companies make up their own mind. If one business idea is failed, it's not going to work out. If people don't like that, they're going to.
It's a very stupid example.
And we're seeing that
very
with
dumb.
a lot of people who are moving away from Facebook and onto X because they don't like the level of censorship they're getting on other platforms. So they move to X. Just like the media, you can watch Fox News, you can watch News Nation, you can watch, there's a plethora of different media outlets that you can consume if you don't like what one media outlet's putting out there. It's not the government saying, oh, the media can't talk about the Pfizer vaccine or say that it has side effects. If that would be an infringement on the First Amendment. But in capitalistic society, these companies can run the way they want without government interference. So if the government starts interfering and saying you can't run your platform how you want, then that's going to be the government interference, and that's going to be against the First Amendment.
Okay, well that's another argument because there was Twitter files and there's a whole rabbit hole. People
and the Twitter files also.
We love to see it.
The Twitter files showed that a lot of stuff went on. People requested a lot of things to be removed, and Twitter, being a publicly run company, publicly held company, they made up their mind on what they believed was best.
Let me simplify the question. Do you believe the people? So what you're effectively saying, we agree on the fact that those with the money can control certain narratives and how they're perceived and discussed. Would you agree with that?
Those with money have.
That's such a strangely worded question, because like obviously the bigwigs can control like what you say, right? Like when I go to work, obviously my supervisor can control what I'm allowed to say at work, obviously. But it's not like when you're on Twitter, right? You're constrained so strictly by the guidelines. Most of the time, Twitter is basically just saying like, "Hey, don't say slurs on the website," right? Like, it's not like they're like heavily constraining what you can say on the website. That's just not true. And most of the people that bitch and complain about it are just mad they can't, like, hate on Jews or something on Twitter. Like, stop.
We'll definitely have more control, yeah.
Yes, and they can control on a public forum how certain things are perceived and discussed because they have the money. And when I say advertise, what I truthfully mean is donate and lobby. That's what they do. They donate and lobby to platforms to get their point of view.
Yeah, of course, on certain platforms they can, but on certain platforms they can't. Like, let's say X, for example.
Well, absolutely, because it's free speech. So this is where we're going back into. I'm only going back over this because we talked about earlier when you guys were saying the primary objective of the media is to make money. And I said,
that
well,
is the
that
primary objective. I mean,
okay, well, if
there's really no arguing that.
Okay, well, if that's their case, then they're going to take money from the large centralized power.
God damn, I need to start investing in Lightning more often. Jesus. Like, the Lightning is like halfway carrying.
If that's in the best interest of the shareholders, perhaps. I'd like to think that shareholders have an ethical side of things too, and if they see that happening, they're not going to be as interested in investing in that company. So, I mean, I think the board of directors and the shareholders are going to have the ultimate say there, and I don't think most people want that.
But Ed, do you think you were censored for money?
I didn't hear you.
Do you think your account, you and Brian's accounts, were banned for monetary purposes? Did they make more money by banning you guys?
No.
Do you think that contradicts the point?
Our accounts were banned.
They broke the rules, didn't they?
They thought we were. They thought their accounts, which we did.
No, sorry. What I meant was they thought you did. It wasn't because you had said like an impact on society, and that's the reason they wanted to ban you, right?
They banned me. Yeah, they banned our accounts because they thought we were breaking their terms of service. But I would add that was a business decision that they thought would help the business. So
do you think Andrew? Sorry, Brian. I thought it was Ed. Brian, do you think Andrew Tate or Nick Fuentes, they were banned because the platforms wanted to make more money? Because Stripe wanted to make more money, they banned them.
Yeah, I do. I think that they saw them as somebody hampering advertising.
So that I completely disagree with. I think Tate and Fuentes were banned because they say a lot of like absolutely unhinged shit on Twitter and make some like absolutely crazy takes that makes Twitter look really bad. So I mean, I guess you could maybe argue that was for money then, but it's more so that like they can't have these like crazy ass extremist takes all over their website. There's a big difference.
And do you think do you think this model is flawed, where advertisers
hampering their image? I think hampering their image, which hampers their revenue, right?
Let me ask.
That's just an alibi.
Let me ask a simpler question. So you're saying effectively that mainstream media will lie for money, correct?
Well, I mean, if you lie as a mainstream media outlet, you're caught in that lie, it's going to hurt you it's going to hurt your revenue.
That's not what I asked. I'm asking, do you if I use Pfizer because it's the example we used earlier before Destiny has a breakdown. If Pfizer come along and they are sponsoring, donating, advertising, lobbying, whatever you want to call it, X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars to your news network, and you're talking pro-vaccine, would the mainstream media lie for money?
Okay, that is still okay.
I mean,
I was just checking that
the
was working
individual
correctly.
who's making that decision, but I mean, if I was running the mainstream media, I certainly wouldn't. I mean, I think you have a reputation. If you get caught in a lie, that's going to hurt you monetarily in the long run. It's going to hurt you from a standpoint.
Well, that would be true unless your primary objective was to spread lies, and for you to be paid to spread lies. And as long as you spread the lies, you continue to get paid because nobody buys what you sell.
Well, I don't think none of these companies have the money to solo fund like an entire social media platform. Like, I feel like the analysis stops with, if somebody pays you $100 to lie, will you do it? The answer is yes, but everybody that's a large creator on this platform knows that if you got paid $100 to lie, you wouldn't take it, because if people find out you were lying, your losses would be way more than the little bit of money you get paid to do the lie.
Yeah, that's crazy. People pay you
man. We're talking billions.
Marriage not exploding.
Kind of like, Nick, how you lie about every single thing you do. So, for instance, we were talking about deplatforming, and Nick is talking about the blacklist that we're on. The only reason Nick, by the way, is blacklisted.
That's what Andrew was saying.
Crazy how they're like trying to overtalk him.
Andrew, but what you said is that I think the media will lie for money. I think you're right there, and I think Ed cannot disagree. But then isn't that?
But I agree with Destiny that like I agree with him that like no company can like singularly fund a bunch of creators on a social media app or whatever to like have a certain narrative. To like for Tate to like assume that people are just lying for sponsors from like a certain side of the political spectrum or whatever. One is like a crazy claim to make about people with zero evidence, because I don't believe he's ever actually put forth evidence. Him and his crew just like claim that people do that. Let's do that. People like, yeah, his side just claims people do that, but I don't think I don't believe they've ever put forth evidence of that.
Not going to be their downfall. Like, this is not.
Well, this is the thing.
They mention lose trust.
Well, this is the missing element. They will lie for money, and then we're talking about how that's going to damage their reputation, which has happened. Nobody trusts them. Nobody believes them anymore. And everyone's missing the very obvious point that it's their job to lie for money. They've always lied for money. They'll tell any narrative they're told to tell by the big money and the big finance. That's the only reason they exist, is to lie for money. Why would they? Why?
Like, can you name an individual? Is it the CEO of CNN? Is it, you know, like who is...
Well, it's going to change, right? The COVID-19 narrative is different than the Ukraine narrative. Perhaps they're all on the same team, but...
Oh my god, Tate is such a pussy. What do you mean it's gonna change? Like, he wants to make these, like, extreme claims that people are being controlled by the media or whatever, but, like, you can't make a claim on who exactly it is. You just want to say, oh, it's the Matrix or whatever. So, like, when people press you on it, then you go, well, I never actually said a specific person. That's such, bro, such coward behavior. I hate it so much.
You can't large everybody in this. I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. I'm sure there's some people who would lie for money. You're right. But
bro,
to say
damn,
that the
die
mainstream
already,
media
Jesus.
would lie for money, like everybody in the mainstream media, their goal is to lie for money, just to put money in their pockets, and they're willing to tell lies. That's ridiculous. I mean, you're judging every individual person.
It's not ridiculous. It's why they...
No, it is. It's absolutely ridiculous.
The mainstream media...
How if they promote vaccine misinformation? People
bro, I'm absolutely destroying this map, by the way. Jesus.
Anti-vaccine content or anti-vaccine misinformation, which has direct harm to the people that are getting these injuries. Like, we're talking about a misinformation that has direct harm to humans. And we're talking... Andrew's bringing up a point where if they lie for money...
Yes, but the thing is, Andrew doesn't have an actual point, though.
COVID, and then they're not reporting on vaccine injuries, then this is a lie that has direct harm to humans.
Wait, are we saying should those be banned? Should that be made illegal if you lie and you get paid money?
Yes, but Andrew doesn't have any fucking proof that that's actually a lie that's happening. He's just saying retarded shit. To say it's stupid shit. Like he doesn't actually have proof for any of these things he's saying. Or else he would give it. I think it's my biggest problem with these red pill people is they like say all this crazy shit, but if you do any form of research, everything they say is complete fucking horseshit, and they never provide any evidence for their claims. And anytime you check the like stats, the few stats they do give, they're completely made up. And then when you give stats to prove they're wrong, they're like, look at this fucking nerd reading. Like it's so dumb. It's so fucking stupid.
Money for it? Should that be like a free speech thing where you're in trouble for that?
Well, here's the real pertinent point, though. I feel like we're missing, guys. I feel like we're missing a very pertinent point. The only reason mainstream media exists at all is to lie. I don't know why you guys pretend that's not the case. The reason it pumped out free everywhere all of the time and forced on everyone's throat all of the time and every single lobby everywhere is to lie. They get their objectives that they're supposed to report to the populace. Their job is to
I might actually hit the time limit on this. That's crazy.
Correct. Nobody trusts them. Correct. They've been lying for money all this time. That's exactly where we are. So how are
again, Tate, where's your proof for this? You're making these like crazy ass claims. 1000 edge. Fullness first display. Fucking. Oh my god. Jesus. You're making these crazy ass claims, right? But anytime he gets pressed, he just says, "Oh, it's the Matrix" or whatever. He never has any proof, or he never points at anybody specifically for these like wild ass claims he makes.
Confusing for anybody.
So Andrew, when does a media outlet become the mainstream media or part of the mainstream media? At what point?
Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, you have state broadcasters for a lot of countries, and I'm sure that in each different country, you have their state broadcaster with their particular narrative they want to push and enforce. I'm sure the Chinese state broadcaster and the Russian state broadcaster and the British state broadcaster will look at the same series of events with a completely different spin and a completely different narrative that they try and push to the populace, which they think is best in their national interest, which means it comes from above. It's not organic. It's not just accidental. They put together the narratives they're told to, and they push it to the population. They're professional liars. That is their job.
Yeah, but don't you think that every media outlet wants to reach that point of being considered the mainstream media because that means they're the biggest media in the country? So at a certain point,
there's like
become
5
part of the mainstream. At a certain point, you become part of the mainstream media, right?
Those 5.
So at that point, do you just start lying? I mean, it's a ridiculous narrative.
What's ridiculous to say that there's like a free market for media. There's 5 major conglomerates that own most of the media.
Jesus.
So this idea of like, well, they're rising and falling and they're in competition. There's like 5
they rise and fall.
They control most of the media. And there is some, within margin. But nobody would ever say that like some tiny publication that could be founded by an individual is going to blow up and compete with the big 5 conglomerates like Discord, 20%.
I mean, theoretically it could. Because I mean, obviously all of them started as a small thing. But nobody saying that like overnight it's gonna blow up and compete with them, obviously. That would be incredibly stupid. But again, they just don't have any proof that these Bitcoin bag. They just have zero proof that these conglomerates are lying or whatever. It's definitely possible. Oh, what happened? What did I get? Question marks? Oh, yeah, new vampire. Ballin'. Let's go. What was he gonna say? Oh, yes. So, like, they just don't have any proof for these claims they're making. They're claiming that these big conglomerates are lying, which is definitely possible. Like, I think it's been shown quite a few times that, like, CNN and Fox lie quite a bit. But, like, you're not providing any examples or proof or whatever. Like, when you're claiming, like, so... Because I'm going to be doing video essays in the future on drama sometime and stuff, right? Now, when I make a claim that I think a certain content creator is like a liar or something, right? Or they're a grifter, I have to provide examples for that behavior. I can't just like, oh, like, I think so-and-so is a liar and I think they're a huge grifter. They don't actually believe in what they say. I can't just say that and not provide proof. You have to provide proof for these claims. Or else what you're seeing is just complete horseshit.
Fox and Disney.
And they wouldn't let it. And they wouldn't let it. Guys, let's be hyper-realistic here. I said earlier about the control of people and influence over people is the only true war. Tanks and bullets are the final last resort to do that. It's much easier to use social media and narrative control and the MSM, etc. to control a populace as opposed to putting them all at gunpoint. The idea that you can just stand up and tell the truth and you're going to have a broadcasting organization inside of the UK bigger than the BBC and you're just going to talk against the government and you're just going to tell the truth. Be Mr. Honest. They're going to let you get bigger than the BBC without catching a fucking bullet is asinine. Look at what's happening to people who have
So literally no one is claiming that. No one's claiming that like by telling the truth you're going to become like the conglomerate overnight or anything. What Destiny's trying to say is in the long run, the company and like people that tell the truth and use factual statements to back up what they say are going to be the ones lasting, right? Like, look how many of these channels go up and down and like have completely disappeared, whereas somebody like Destiny, right, that uses facts and does his research on stream and like everybody sees that he actually does research and everything. This man has stayed through the test of time. He was one of the first people to like full-time stream. So he actually like lives these things he's saying, right? Whereas like Tate and them don't actually live any of the things they say they do.
Not just my story, Nick's story, Alex Jones' story. There's a bunch of people with Twitter accounts who end up in a cell for having a Twitter account, let alone a broadcast in court. To sit and believe that, oh, who becomes the mainstream and you can just go and make a news channel and maybe you'll get in. It's one big club and you're not in it. And it's control.
So Andrew, you haven't answered my question before. So when you say they...
Bro just been yapping and didn't answer a single thing.
Chris Cuomo when he was on CNN, are you talking, like, is he being fed this information that he's only
I'll be honest. I'll be very honest with you what I think of mainstream news broadcasters. I think they're idiots who are dragged from obscurity and they sit down in front of a teleprompter, and I think anybody could do their job. And Don Lemon's monumental failure proved that perfectly, because since he left CNN, nobody's given a shit. I think he has 500 views on any of his videos. He's some random idiot they plucked from obscurity, sat him down, he read the teleprompter. It's not about who reads the teleprompter, sir. It's about who decides what's on the teleprompter in the first place. That's the actual discussion we're having here. It's nothing to do with which jackass could sell his soul and sit down.
So many of those shows that individual.
I guess that's technically true, because I don't know. I don't know if I agree with that, because you do have to be charismatic and entertaining enough for people to actually give a shit to pay attention to you. Like, there's somebody other than like Trevor Noah takes over the Daily Show, right? Or it's a Daily Show, whatever fucking show he has on Comedy Central. And somebody that's like significantly less funny takes over that thing. Obviously, quite a few less people are gonna watch it. That's just a fact.
Has that show? They have their team, and they're not necessarily being fed everything they have to say. They're allowed to have opinions themselves.
My friend, and I call you my friend.
I'm glad you're calling me
about to call you an idiot. Because you're an idiot, sir.
Tucker Carlson said the exact same thing, that he had basically full editorial.
Didn't Tucker get fired for having an opinion that went outside of the narrative of Fox News?
No, Tucker got fired because he almost cost Fox News $1 billion for lying on air. It's funny that you defend the fact that he had an original opinion. What you're actually doing is misinformation and lies, which is supposed to be something you guys are against, I thought.
Which opinion was this? That's not what I heard. Tell me, please educate me.
The Fox News, the Dominion lawsuit. There were texts that were leaked from him where he admitted that he was lying on air about claims that Sidney Powell had made to him, and he was tired of lying to his audience about things about the Dominion voting machines being rigged.
Well, I don't know if that's a lie at all.
You don't know anything. You don't read any media. That's why you're out here saying things like they get
true. Actually,
fucking true. Media companies are structured. You don't know where the teams get their information from. People that work in media are the most like social media hungry people in the universe. You think that all these people in all these networks across all these countries are getting fed the same marching orders and nobody's leaked anything, nobody's complained about anything, nobody's said anything? And why do we think that mainstream media is any more insulated from these problems than alternative media is? You guys will make fun of the marching orders from mainstream media, but I bet every single alternative media guy in here is anti-vax, thinks COVID came from a bioweapons bomb, thinks that Russia has a right to invade Ukraine, thinks that all the charges against Donald Trump are made up, thinks that we shouldn't be supporting Israel. Like, you guys have literally copy-pasted the same opinions between every single one of you, and you guys are talking like an army of NPCs about how the mainstream media gives you like fabricated opinions. Like, it doesn't even make sense.
Yes, we do all think the truth. That is.
Oh, crazy how true it can be.
Yes, and I'm sure Dusty's about to make this point. Like, yes, of course, because it's your, like, what you want to be said is now all of a sudden it's, we believe the truth. But when it's, like, against what you believe, then all of a sudden it's, well, they're all liars and you can't trust the media or whatever. Like, that's so stupid. Also, Dave, they finally got me at almost 30 minutes. Look at all those unlocks.
There, huh? But when you all think the same thing, it's not a conspiracy, but when the mainstream media does, it is a conspiracy. It's crazy how that works.
I just said that different state-sponsored broadcasters would have conflicting points of view.
But they don't. Do you watch any media? Have you followed any media?
Course,
they don't typically have conflicting opinions. When you're reporting on international media, the stories are more or less the same.
And a BBC segment, they often directly conflict. Often.
No, very rarely. On the facts, no. Maybe if you're watching a pundit or you're reading op-eds, they will. But if you have any amount of media literacy, a really great example that works against your Israel stuff, by the way, was the reporting of that Al-Alasi hospital bombing, where everybody was saying that Israel bombed that parking lot. Every single mainstream media outlet in the world ran with that story for 2 days. I mean, how did that work if Israel controls the media? Or how does that work if they all give conflicting accounts and reports? It's because they don't. It's because everybody relies on, like, people that are reporting on the ground. It goes through their media teams. They publish what they think is right. Sometimes people fuck up. But there doesn't have to be a top-down conspiracy to explain why.
Sure did change the headlines very quickly, Destiny.
Yeah, after more information came out. Yes, sir, that's how it works.
When fake news came out.
This is so naive. There have been so many lies, specifically about wars. It's insane that you would even bring that up. Before the 2020 election, there was a big story about how Russians were putting a bounty on the head of American soldiers in Iraq. You remember this? And they said Trump is allying with Russia, who's killing our soldiers. Then a year after, and by the way, that's after the election, they came out and said, yeah, that wasn't true. They came out and said, see, well, we source our intelligence on the ground. Some of it has a high degree of confidence, and some of it has a low degree. And this one had no degree of confidence. But it took them a year to correct it after it had already served its purpose. Same thing with the Hunter Biden laptop. They totally put the lid on that one.
Bro, they are so obsessed with this laptop.
We were told it's Russian disinformation. Turned out to be authentic after the election. Just like the 40 beheaded babies. 40 beheaded babies! 40 babies and their heads are off! I can't believe it! And then they found out in December, after Israel had already invaded, after they blockaded Gaza, after everything, they said, oh yeah, that was all fabricated. It's a complete lie. Same thing with Ukraine. I remember when we debated, they said Russia blew up a nuclear reactor because they're trying to do another Chernobyl. Turned out that was bullshit. So those are just like off the top of my head. 5 examples about 3 different conflicts where, they reported it serves its purpose, and then they revise it a year later after they got what they wanted. And you, because you believe their alibi, because you don't understand the distinction between power and powerless, between government.
So he wants to make this big narrative, right, about, well, obviously they're lying because of X, Y, and Z. But it's also entirely possible that they just got better information down the line. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're lying just because they said something that you disagree with, right? Those are 2 very different things. Let's do the whip. Watch me whip. Watch me nay.
Government and people, you say,
how fuck would I do?
I think they got more information. They found out that the propaganda that they created for their efficient purpose.
Oh, see how he makes it out as a bad thing that they got better information too. That's not a crazy thing to assume.
Oh, they found out that was a lie because, these are just really earnest people like you and I trying to get it right, as opposed to very interested parties in government, finance, wherever you find it. So those are just a few examples off the top of my head. They learn more information, just like in Iraq,
maybe
right?
people just
They
get
learned there were
stories
no
wrong.
weapons of mass destruction
It's
in Iraq.
possible because it happened on the other side too. How many people were saying, "Oh, there's no way that Russia's going to invade Ukraine. That's bullshit. The U.S. intelligence must be lying because Nick said that they lie about the intel all the time." Well, guess what? That happened. Oh, well, there are no fighters in Al-Shifa Hospital. That can't possibly be the case. Oh, whoops, we found CCTV footage that shows otherwise. Oh no, hydroxychloroquine is a way better drug than remdesivir. Oh, this is going to be the ivermectin is going to save all of us. Oh, looks like none of that was true. Oh, people get things wrong. Some people lie. You have to be intelligent enough to call out fault. That wasn't even a syllogism,
That's
dipshit.
a false syllogism.
No, that wasn't even a syllogism, dipshit. Listen, people get things wrong sometimes. You have to be more intelligent. You've got to be more sophisticated when you go through media, and you have to understand sometimes people they get shit wrong. Sometimes people do lie, but why the you trust people who in alternative media who are teams of 1 to 4 highly ideologically driven people versus entire media conglomerates that are being fact-checked or have dozens or sometimes hundreds of workers in some of these offices. The ability for you to lie about something is going to be way higher.
How much do you know about the CIA's history of influencing media?
Yeah, so that's 1000% true. That it's weird that he trusts the alternate sources so much, but he's so vehemently against anything mainstream. It's so dumb. Let me do do Lightning Ring first, just because the Thunderstorm is really good. But yeah, it's weird that he's like, he trusts these alternative sources so much when like a lot of these alternative sources have like a team of like a couple people.
What an amazing question. I don't know. How much do you know about...
I just don't... I often don't hear people like you and Ed and Brian digging into the history of the National Intelligence State directly influencing media.
Because
like,
history is different. Like, if you want to talk about U.S. foreign policy between like the 40s and before the the fall of the Soviet Union, that's going to be a different type of foreign policy, a different approach than our foreign policy over the past like 34 years. Also, the ability to sneak or hide different things is going to be different when everybody is carrying around a video camera and a recorder. Like, the ability to do things covertly is a lot easier back in the day when people were typewriting to each other or...
I have to go. I have to go. So I want to ask.
Buried. Yeah, do your thing, Andrew.
Sorry, brother. I have to go. So I just want to ask a really quick question. Destiny, I want to understand your worldview because you and I have a different worldview, it seems, especially on girlfriends, etc. But we won't go down that path. Do you think it would be prudent and professional for a country to allow its state broadcaster, which speaks to its populace, to report whatever it wanted and whatever it discovered without any kind of moderation or input, even if it was directly adverse to the goals and aims of the national security of said country or the military-industrial complex of that country? Do you think they would allow the state broadcaster to just report whatever it wanted fairly without anyone telling them what to say or any narratives to hold, even if it's directly counter to the interests of very powerful entities within that nation? Do you believe that we operate in a world that fair?
Yes, because confidence is a valuable thing, and if your country doesn't trust you, doesn't trust the media, if it doesn't trust the leaders, and if you've got ways to hold them accountable, like via voting, then yeah, if you fuck around with your population and people find out, you're going to be held accountable for it. Arguably, that's why Trump won his election. You know, you can say that like, oh well, the media lies to everybody and everybody lies to everybody. That might be true. Fine. Then why the fuck should we believe anything any of you guys say, right? At that point, you're in an epistemic, nihilistic black hole of nothingness where you can't believe anybody.
The fact that you believe a country X, will have military aims, it will have agricultural aims, it will have political ambitions, it will have trade aims, whatever they are, to compete in this globalized market, and they need their population to believe a certain point of view to be as competitive as possible against the other nations.
Do I have to let it hit me?
And they're just going to allow their state broadcaster to broadcast whatever they want, even if it's counter to their own narratives and interests, is so ridiculously naive. That's not what happens.
It's not naive. You don't even understand how markets work. You know what naive? No, hold on. Naive is thinking that companies with a market cap of $100 billion have more say in our government than like
the Daily Mail starts talking about war with Russia in the UK only a fucking couple months ago. Endless war with Russia, conscription, how it needs to happen. On a dime, all of the BBC, all of the British news starts talking about how important it is to go to war with Russia, because that's the aim that they had from their military-industrial complex. And the broadcaster,
so it's not bad.
And the
it's just
media
kind of a
arm
pain in the ass to
works
use.
directly with their foreign policy aims. It's all directly going together. Not a single newspaper printed, "This is dumb shit. Nobody should go to get their ass whooped by the Russians." Not a single one, because they are not allowed to.
If that's the case, then why didn't Trump shut down all negative media about him when he was president? If that's the case, why didn't Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden or Barack Obama shut down all negative media about them? You guys bring up the best counterexample to you is that Hunter Biden laptop story. Why did that get censored for one day? Why wasn't that story completely killed?
Wasn't heavily suppressed.
Yeah, no, wait. Why wasn't that story killed completely? That is the most talked about story. Your example of media censorship is like the most talked about story in the past 10 years of online media.
It's talked about online on social media, yes, but it was suppressed in the MSM, which is the exact point.
No, it was suppressed on Twitter. The New York Post story, the big deal about that, the big deal about Twitter was, the big deal about the New York Post story was it being suppressed on Twitter and Facebook, but it came back in like a day. So the question is, if the government, if the government was able to control things so well, why didn't they shut that story down completely?
Destiny, let me ask you a question on that. Isn't that because they censored it because there was a specific reason to do so? Because the reason you censor it is because you want the election to go in a certain way. Once the election's over,
didn't the intel agencies tell them to do that? Didn't the intel agencies tell them to suppress that?
No, if you actually read the Twitter files, I know how much you hate reading. If you actually read them, no, they didn't. No. Nobody told Twitter to censor the New York Post story. They literally leaked the emails where they talk about censoring the story. I don't know why you guys say the intelligence agencies told them to do it.
So all
Bro,
of the
they
mainstream media all ran with this has been debunked, and they all cited the letter that came from the National Security State, which was signed by 51 intel operatives.
They didn't say that it was debunked. They said it looked like Russian misinformation. Which, if you're honest, it did. But it did.
They started all of their articles with that statement in order to frame it in the exact same way that Nick was saying that every article about Nick is framed by the first sentence being Nicholas J. Fuentes, this evil things, so that when you read the article, you're pre-framed to believe Nick Fuentes is an evil human, or
no, it's not even remotely the same. It looked like a fishy story. Any honest actor, like, I'm pretty sure at this point we all know the laptop story is real, but even looking at it, it's
like
that is a
story.
Yeah, obviously. I'm sorry. Hold on. The idea that Hunter Biden dropped off a laptop years ago to like a blind computer store owner, yeah, that is a sensational story. That sounds like bullshit. It still sounds like bullshit, even if it's true. But again, like, the deep state has so much control sometimes, like censoring stories, but it couldn't have prevented the New York Post from publishing it. Why? It couldn't go and like take that hard drive out of Giuliani's. Giuliani had balls. Oh my God! So it only takes one journalist to shut down the entire. Also, by the way, like a quasi-mainstream media journalist. This is the New York Post. It's not like we're talking about like a small YouTube channel or something, right? So even the New York
published that story, and then the entire media narrative had to shift in order to discredit the story as quickly as humanly possible. And the entire national security complex mobilized and got 51 of their top experts, like ex-director of the CIA, ex-director of the NSA, the people that had architected their entire national security state, the people that had lied to us about torture, that had lied to us about WMD.
Yes, I understand. You can talk about things from 20 years ago. That's fine. But the reality is,
discredit the story as quickly as possible.
And look who broke it. The most mainstream media people in the world. Giuliani had a copy of the drive. This is a mainstream ex-mayor of New York, and then the New York Post, a mainstream media publication. Giuliani was not mainstream. How old are you?
So let me ask you.
No, wait. I want to hear the answer. Wait, hold on. I want to hear this. You don't think the New York Post counts as mainstream media, and you don't think Giuliani wasn't a mainstream political figure in the United States of America?
New York Post absolutely counts as mainstream media. What I'm saying is that a singular journalist got the scent, got the trail, and decided to write the story.
But I'm asking, how is that possible? And that was a mainstream media publication. How would that be possible? The CIA and the NSA and the FBI are controlling all these things.
You clearly haven't done a lot of research on how the CIA actually do influence.
Ian, your mic is really bad, but just so what you're saying, Destiny, is that the letter that was signed by... Go ahead, Keith. Go ahead.
Saying is that when you actually research how the CIA influences journalists, it's not like journalists are literal robots where the CIA has a literal game controller where they actually like move their mouths. They peddle influence through payoffs or through like promotions or through just making friendships. Like, it's not as simple as just saying we literally control everything that everyone says. That's not how the world works.
No, it's not. Hold on, no, wait. It's easier to censor one story by like contacting a journalist and threatening his family than it would be to falsely get like every single intelligence agency or like 51 different officials on board with censoring a story. It doesn't make sense. It would be way easier to get the one journalist guy like to just like show up at his house and steal the drive.
Experts work for them.
So yeah, that's the thing I don't understand about when when red pill people talk about this. They talk about it like all these big corporations are in cahoots or whatever. Do you know how hard it is to get a small group to keep a secret, let alone this massive corporation that has like people they're letting go and stuff that are obviously spiteful? Let's do Clover. Somebody would have leaked these things by now, but nobody has. So, like, I'm sorry, but, like, it's so hard to even begin to think it's true.
Well, Comey works for them. The DOJ works for them. Why did they pursue the email investigation with Hillary? Why didn't they just kill that immediately? Why did Comey ever make those announcements publicly? It hurt him a lot. Why did this story with the DOJ with the special prosecutor come out with Biden being senile? That hurts him as well. Like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they report on themselves on that doesn't make them look good. Is it all plausible deniability?
Dustin, I have a question. I'm curious.
Okay, go, Andrew.
I'm curious. Do you believe that in China, the state broadcaster can just broadcast whatever it wants and whatever it discovers, or do you believe it has to work within an official narrative from the government?
In China, I think they probably have to work with official narratives from the government. This media probably works close to the state.
And what about in Russia?
Yes. For publications like RT, yes.
Saudi?
I don't know as much about Saudi media, but that would be my assumption. It's a total monarchy, yeah.
But in the West, not at all, 0%, right?
Well, it depends on the country you're talking about.
Shit.
Like the BBC gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. PBS gets state funding. I don't think they get state direction. I think in general in the West, I don't think the media tends to operate at the behest of the state. Whereas like in monarchies or dictatorships, you tend to operate more with what the state is telling you to do. Yes.
Well, we could ask why you get state funding without state direction. That's one question. But so you're
because of legislation from Congress that authorizes state funding. I mean, it's not really a huge conspiracy.
Of course, yeah, they just give money for nothing. Yeah, fine.
Money for I'm sorry. Do you think the most wealthy broadcasters work for PBS and NPR?
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I
know you don't.
I want to try and get to the end of the point, especially because I'm driving. So, do you think that would allow a country to be competitive, considering that you need to have narrative control over your populace? And that we now know, and everyone in the West accepts, that China has narrative control over its populace by the state broadcaster, as does Russia, as does Saudi Arabia, as do all these other countries. And that having a news broadcasting apparatus which told the truth, even if it's against national security interests, would not allow you to be competitive as a nation state. Do you think that we're going to allow that to happen just because we care about truth so much?
No, because the West doesn't run the world because they dominate the narrative. The West runs the world because they dominate it militarily and economically. People don't like the United States because we've got the most bought and paid for media. They like the United States because we have the strongest navy that guarantees the most free passage through water. Because when the Houthis start firing missiles at people, it's U.S. destroyers that show up and save the waterways. They like the United States because we are a massive trading partner. We have the highest GDP in the world at this point, and we buy and sell goods like crazy. That's why people like us, not because we poison our media, but because we actually put out good results. You can't control the media. You can't media frame the way out of like horrible participation in a world economy. You just have to like actually be able to put up the numbers.
No, I don't think you understood the point I'm asking, because America as a country is in competition with other nation states, right?
No, but we don't compete on who can control the narrative. That's shit you do on Twitter and YouTube. We compete on who has the highest number of exports. We compete on who can facilitate like the largest like multilateral trade deals. We compete on who can guarantee safe passage through waterways. And people start blowing each other up, whose military is going to show up to make sure that your ships are safe. Those are the things that we compete on.
Cool, understand. So you think that America has no vested interest in controlling the narratives that its own population believes in, although the CIA spends basically unlimited money ensuring that vested interests are installed in every other nation state around the world. They don't care about their own at all.
Yeah.
They don't care about what Americans think at all. They just care about all the other countries think.
If you think the CIA spends unlimited money, it's because you don't know what unlimited money looks like, and you have no idea what the scale is between like CIA spending and spending of companies like Facebook or Apple or Microsoft or Amazon. Like, if you guys at least were to come on and say things like, I think that all of our foreign policy is being ran by the people that control like Apple and Facebook, that would at least make sense. But by companies that are worth, like tens of billions or like $100 billion, no, absolutely not. And also, no, the reputational hit you would take in a democracy when you elect your leaders and people catch you lying about stuff or fabricating stories or controlling the media. No, I don't think you.
Them lying. Oh, you never called them lying.
Is this supposed to be a death lecture?
Nobody ever said. Hold on. Nobody ever said. Nobody ever said they never. Nobody ever said. Nobody
influence other populations, but they have no interest at all in influencing the minds of their own populace. No, they just care about trying to influence everybody else's with their democracy and all the garbage they're doing when they're pushing it.
The gaslighting is actually insane.
There's also another rabbit hole we need to go down.
I mean, technically, your story isn't even contradictory. Even if I let you have that, because technically Americans don't really give a f what happens in other countries as much as their own. So you could get away with influencing other countries more than your own. Yeah, of course. But the reality is that like if you get caught doing these lies, you pay huge fucking repercussions for it. Like a lot of the country's politics
for COVID.
What have they
paid for COVID? What have they paid for the Vietnam War? What have they paid for the weapons of mass destruction
the media
in Iraq?
coverage for the Vietnam War was harmful to U.S. institutions. That's one of the reasons why we left Vietnam. If we controlled the media, we would have stayed in Vietnam until we saw it through. Media pressure was one of the reasons we left. Look at how unpopular the Iraq War became. You don't think Obama wanted to take a more active role in the Middle East? He couldn't.
Yeah, so that just doesn't make sense because, like what Tate is trying to say just doesn't add up at all. Because, like Destiny said, like the public fucking hated the government during Vietnam and during the Iraq War and all these things. So that just doesn't make sense. Like the point he's trying to make just doesn't make sense whatsoever.
public fucking hates everything in the Middle East after the Iraq War. What are you talking about? Yeah, American public heavily influences our ability, our capability of operating in different theaters of war. After Iraq and Afghanistan, we have no appetite for it.
Okay. Is this supposed to be about being unbanned, or is this about the #1 fucking news media truster to defend the State Department's agenda? Like, I don't even know what this is about anymore.
Yeah, I want to jump in here. I mean, cause I don't...
Bro, Fuentes is so ass bad when the whole Twitter space isn't about him. That's fucking hilarious. My man is mauling.
What the purpose of this space was discussing Nick's censorship. I mean, this is like a civics lecture now from the Krasensteins and Destiny. And like, it's really interesting. People might not realize this, but yeah, Destiny has blacklisted Nick for the last few years to try and stifle his popularity.
What do you mean? Wait, why?
He has.
Hold on.
Yeah, Keith.
I'm sorry, but that's just not true. I don't know where people keep getting this thing where they think that like Destiny can just deplatform whoever he wants and like he controls who's like popular or whatever. That's just not true. Destiny's been deplatformed quite a few times, so like them acting like, oh, he's like trying to stop Nick from being famous or whatever. He doesn't care. Like, that's wild. That's such a bizarre claim.
Yeah, Keith, question. Yeah, question to you, Keith. Because I asked Destiny the question earlier. How did he blacklist him? What does that mean?
Why did I blacklist him?
Yeah, so Destiny refused to stream with Nick. He didn't want to help grow his popularity. Nick comes back in a day, he surpasses him on Twitter followers. And Destiny goes back to his old tactic of showing up on a Nick stream and reading Wikipedia articles, trying to make him sound bad to his guests. I mean, the central point here is supposed to be Nick's censorship. And, you know, Destiny...
First of all, to be fair, Destiny does not have to, like, try to make Nick look bad. Nick does it completely on his own. That just, wow, that's such a wild, like, retelling.
He makes this point. He's like, oh, well, these people, they defend free speech, but then they don't want to come out and be honest.
This is the easiest truth test forever, right here. Like, tell me, why did I blacklist Nick? Can Nick or you admit it? Can either of you admit it? No, you won't. You're going to keep pivoting.
Is he just going to keep interrupting me? I mean, he's been speaking for the last like hour and a half, dominating this space.
Make him answer the question.
Go ahead, Keith. Yeah, answer the question and then continue, Keith, with the point you're making.
So Destiny says, you know, they get censored, they send them for free speech, and they're scared to come out with their beliefs. Well, he's ignoring the fact that Destiny got his followers to mass report Nick in I think it was 2019-20 to get him banned off Twitch.
So I'm sure Destiny's gonna disprove this in just a second, but that's not true. The whole reason that Nick is the reason Nick is blacklisted from Destiny streams is because Fuentes sends his like followers to deplatform people all the time. He keeps like claiming that Destiny sent his chat to like report and to platform him or whatever, but that's not true. He never did that, and I believe he said he's gone through the VODs and stuff, and he never did that. And if that was true, because Fuentes has never provided proof of this. But if that is true, then that would definitely make Destiny a massive hypocrite. But Fuentes has never proved that. So, you know. And considering Fuentes' character, I'm not exactly inclined to believe him.
Because Destiny is aware of this.
This didn't happen. He's lying and he didn't answer my question.
Destiny, I'll go back. Destiny, I'll go back to you to respond right after. Yeah, go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, Destiny got his followers in the past to mass report Nick, to get him banned, to take away the competition, because he knows this double standard exists. And, you know, Destiny will come on these streams and he'll say, of course I believe in free speech. And in the past he said, well, you know, look, you're going to get censored if you say shit people find offensive. That's just kind of how society works. Like Nick said,
this is the craziest cope I've ever heard in my life. Like, this is just such a wild cope. Okay. And then I believe I can go back to the original map, and I believe there's a relic there now, if I recall correctly. Give me 1 second.
He has said, you know, Palestinians, I'm fine with them being genocided. Hassan, who's probably the biggest leftist streamer now, I saw just a couple of weeks ago, he posted the schematic of a weapon as a quote tweet to a politician,
Holy
suggesting his followers should engage in violence against the politician. Now, there wasn't an SPLC hit piece, there wasn't an ADL hit piece shopped around, because they know there's obviously a double standard that operates here. This isn't some free market where the companies are looking at these individual streamers, these individual personalities, deciding who to work with. I mean, Nick used the example, perfect example, during Bandy ADL. All of these mainstream media outlets rushed to get this out, that, you know, of the 10,000 tweets I've made, that they found one that was a joke about being an anti-Semite and self-avowed anti-Semite. I can give her another example. Recently, I was censored off a couple of payment processors after a Media Matters hit piece. Media Matters hit piece references an SPLC hit piece that says I'm a Holocaust denier. Now, I've literally never made a public statement about the Holocaust in my life, right? It's illegal in most
even
of
talking
Europe.
right now? Who is this
But that
guy?
is shopped
Is it
around.
Keith Woods?
Leftists send these to payment processors, they send these to platforms.
Did they include sorry to interrupt, did they include a quote, or did they just make that statement without any quote, without any...
No, the original article that it goes back to, which is shopped around to all these various outlets now, there's no link, there's no quote. It's just put there by leftist activists. That is used to censor people. And what you realize about censorship is, you know, there's no debate or discussion going around here. These employees get these pieces handed to them by organizations that are supposed to have a reputation, like the ADL, the SPLC, and they just hit the button. And, you know, it's easy to come in with this kind of sort of naive, pluralist worldview where we're in this free market of ideas and...
Bro, Blood is just straight yapping. Like, I don't... He doesn't even have a point. He's just literally yapping.
Companies are just...
All right, we got the philosophy lesson. Why is Nick... Why did I blacklist Nick?
You blacklisted him to stop his popularity.
Okay, so I blacklisted Nick because I'm a big free speech advocate online, and I have been for, I think, probably like 6 or 7 years. And
Did you direct your followers to get Nick banned?
And Nick Fuentes, I haven't tried to get Nick banned in like 7 years. I had a huge conversation with him on Twitch. I was part of the hosting of that conversation. I didn't try to get him banned.
Your followers to mass report Nick.
Like 8 years ago. Yeah, my values have changed since then.
It keeps changing. It keeps changing.
I'm not. No, I haven't changed it. I literally hosted a huge debate with Nick. But the reason why Nick is blacklisted, the reason why I blacklisted Nick is because as of a year ago, Nick and his group of people spam report people. You can go and watch it on the Ralph Retort. You can go and watch it on shows he's on. And he says, well, if people spam report me, I'm going to spam report them. Which is ironically why I spam reported conservatives in the 2016-2017 period, because you guys spam reported everybody else too. Even large conservative figures would try to cancel other people. James Wood, the Guardians of the Galaxy dude, got canceled by fucking what? Cernovich digging up 10-year-old tweets? You know, and Nick Fuentes plays the exact same game. Nick, do you acknowledge that a year ago, as recently as a year ago, that you had your audience run around and spam report people on YouTube, that you were fighting with Mr. Medicare and other people, and you would encourage people to spam report people? Or are you going to deny that or not even answer it?
Really? Did you do that to Keffels? And to Hassan last year?
Why are you pivoting? Wait, do you want to answer that question?
Well, answer.
No, I asked you a question. Nick, you're the freedom of the speech guy. Nick, answer the question.
Keffels and Hassan?
Nick, oh, he won't answer the question. So this is what I mean when I say they won't own their positions. They're too cowardly to own their positions. He's not going to answer it. And
the fact he's actually just proving Destiny's point.
That's why he's on my blacklist. The reason why he's on my blacklist.
I wouldn't call this censorship, but Destiny, why it hasn't seemed to have worked. Like if you look at Nick's following now, despite all the censorship, did it help him in your opinion?
It's not about it. It helps him. I just don't like to I don't like to signal boost people that engage in like mass reporting. And Nick's community does that like crazy. Notice how he doesn't answer the question? It's because he keeps dodging.
Why did you want to flag down Porcelain? What did he do?
Because the guy's annoying, and his content should be.
Oh, so honestly, it's annoying.
His
now,
content
too.
sucks.
Nah, the receipts is crazy.
Okay, and I get to choose. His content. He calls himself a documentarian. Give me a break. He's not a documentarian.
Are you telling me the irony
He's
bro
a glorified
can't detect sarcasm? Oh, really?
He's not being sarcastic. The guy thinks he's a
okay.
documentarian, and I think that's hilarious because it's stupid. But no, his content sucks, and so his content should. I think we should flag you because your content sucks too.
Sure. You sure you're not going after, Porcelain because he did a baked Alaska documentary and your ass hurt your friend got made fun of?
When was that, Jim? Was that like?
I mean, let's see. You got angry. You got angry because Ethan Ralph got fucked with. You got angry because baked Alaska got fucked with. It sounds like you're just a little bitch running around protecting your friends.
Not really. I just hate his content. I hate his content, and I think it shouldn't be online anymore. And you're the little bitch that's crying about it. I mean, you keep saying, like, you're so mad, you're so mad. I said, like, oh, you got DMCA'd. I don't know, seems kind of funny. I report, like, when like, people are shitting on me, I report their streams. I report everything they have.
All right, bro.
You're just a liar. Everyone, people can post the clips. Destiny had Keffels and Hassan mass reported last year. He had a tenuous explanation.
He did not. He straight up did it.
Yaps like this without answering my question. It's because he knows he doesn't have an answer to the question. And Nick is the one on here talking about freedom of speech. Make him answer the question. Make him answer the question.
I'll leave it with him. So I think both of you haven't answered the question. But Nick, I'll give you the mic again, you and Keith, because I know Keith was waiting for a long time. Either Keith go on or we'll go to Nick.
Yeah, let me jump in here. So.
Let him ramble he means without answering the question.
And now another interruption. See, the thing is...
Let me... Oh, good. So, Destiny, let's just take a breather, please. Go ahead, Nick. Thanks, Destiny.
Thank you. So, the thing is...
See, here's the thing. This moderator is fucking terrible, by the way. This moderator is horrendous. I keep going up here. Yeah, this moderator is horrible. He keeps giving... Fuentes the mic, and like he'll press Destiny every time Fuentes has a point he wants to make, but anytime Destiny has a point, he'll be like, well, let's give Nick a breather. And won't pressure Fuentes at all, because he knows Fuentes will fucking crack as soon as Destiny gives him even the slightest bit of pressure.
I mean, I think the big point is I'm banned for 7 years from some platforms, banned from Twitter for 3. I get platformed on here. Mario, you, before you even put out the tweet, say, well, just on the record, I don't agree with most of what he says. We have to bring in 4 left-wing Zionist Jews on the space, and that's not good enough. Then we got to bring in Destiny, who for years has been saying,
not the piano, not to play the piano. Well, that's crazy.
But he is going to show up on this one when it's a big platform, and that just goes to show the disadvantage that people like myself have. You know, Destiny is on YouTube, he's on Reddit, he's on Discord.
So the victim complex is fucking insane, by the way. The victim complex that Nick has, or that these like alt-right red pill people have, is fucking wild to me.
On Twitter, despite saying equally awful things, jokes or not, he's engaged in mass reporting like anybody has, whether it's a year ago or 7 years ago. But a person like me, I've been banned from everything. I've been lied about by everybody, lied about by the ADL.
You're not lied about, buddy.
They've never written anything about Destiny. There's no pressure to get him banned from anything. I get restored.
So he's literally banned from Twitch, and I believe he's been banned from Twitter twice. So I have no idea what Blood is yapping about right now.
48 hours, I get invited onto a space where everybody practically has to sign a pledge that says, I'm not with this guy, and we got to bring in 4 other people who do most of the talking from the left to defend the State Department and the regime.
I'm sorry, but no. You have done by far the most talking in here, Fuentes, so I don't know what the fuck you're yapping about.
And now I'm going to be interrupted here. Now I'm going to be interrupted
here.
here.
Brian, I'll let you respond right after, Nick. So I think Brian's point was, Nick, that you had a lot of, you had Alex Jones, you had Andrew Tate, you have Sneako, you had others that were supporting your stance. So I think we tried our best to keep it balanced, but I do have to agree with you. Like, I'll be honest, I faced the most pressure bringing you on stage, more than anyone else except probably Prime Minister Imran Khan of Pakistan and Bolsonaro.
Well, that's because Nick says, like, very blatantly hateful shit. It's not that, like, everybody's so mean to me. No, it's that you say like really hateful, anti-Semitic and racist shit all the time. You're actually a Nazi, Fuentes. Like I don't know what to tell you. You can't do this thing where you have like these like super extremist, like hateful stances, and then in the same breath you're like, I can't believe everybody's so mean to me. Like stop it.
double standard earlier when you introduced Destiny. He openly says.
Oh, and here is Cucko. I'm so glad to hear what he has to say.
There's not going to be any articles. Nobody's going to write a bill to go and say anything about Islamophobia. But then Nick says his points that he believes that race is real and he thinks that America's a Christian country. And then somehow that's the most banned position. That's the one that's going to get articles written about it. When Myron comes on stream and he makes jokes about, you know, they make Nazi jokes, stuff like this, they automatically try to censor you and say that you believe in this stuff.
Damn, I wonder
and
why.
Come on here, Destiny says that you must believe in. There must be some sort of secret motive that you have, some secret hatred. But no, these people just, we like to make jokes, we like to have humor. Destiny openly says he hates Islam, and guess what's going to happen? Nothing.
It's literally it's literally not jokes. Two, I've been banned from Twitter more than any of you motherfuckers. I can't believe you guys are crying on here about Twitter bans. I'm pretty sure I've been banned from Twitter. I've been banned from Twitter. Yeah, that's great. I've got some. I'm banned from Twitch. Right, and I was banned from Twitter for longer than you and Fuentes over here combined. And you guys lie about why you get banned from your platforms anyway. Just like Nick Fuentes won't answer why he's on my blacklist. He also lies about why he got no fly listed. It was because he was fighting with a flight attendant.
Let's move away from these points. Yeah, go ahead, Sneako. Go ahead.
One more point is that Nick's right. I mean, I hosted a bunch of panels back in 2022 when I first learned about Nick and his movement about America First. And the reason they try to silence him so much is because his position ultimately is that we should stop funding Israel. It's that simple. That's why he's so censored, is because he points out a very specific flaw that America...
I'm sorry. Sneako deep-throating Fuentes this hard is crazy to me. Me personally, I could never deep throat and glaze somebody this hard. Well, at all, but especially one that Fuentes thinks you are the equivalent of a dog, Sneako. I don't. I cannot imagine glazing somebody this hard that thinks you are literally the equivalent of a dog. I just it's so wild to me. That's I can't imagine it, bro. Come on, get up. Let me get to the thingy. Let me get to the, you fucking cunt. There we go.
American politicians have, is that they all have to have an undying allegiance to Israel, and we don't even know why they're our greatest ally. People defend this country so much, and they don't even know where it is on a map. The fact that he calls us out so much, that's what bothers him. And so they try to blacklist him, they try to censor him nonstop, but every time he gets a new angle of popularity, when people start to admit that his talking points have been correct for so long, they immediately hijack the stream. They'll come in there when he comes on Fresh and Fit, Destiny has to debate him. When I go debate XQC, Destiny has to jump in.
Look, if I get in this call, do you want to join just for a little bit?
What call? What are you doing?
I'm trying to get in a call with Destiny and SQC.
When Nick gets reinstated on Twitter for the first day and surpasses him in followers in 24 hours, who needs to come in? Can any of you even remember what all the yapping from 30 minutes was about the Wikipedia articles? I can't.
Listen, we all know that you have trouble paying attention. That's why you haven't learned anything about the religion you're grifting in for the past year. But to be clear, Mario invited me. He literally DM'd me 2 hours ago. So Mario is the Jew in this circumstance. Just to be clear, okay? He's the one that's controlled, by the way.
I'll take the blame. But Keith, I want to ask you a question. You and Brian now will go to Nick for that same question. Why, Keith, in your opinion, was Nick banned from Twitter and all other social media companies? Keith,
the fact that Sneako just gets to get away with that crazy ass statement is wild, by the way.
It's obviously ideological censorship. I mean, getting back to what I was saying earlier, Destiny can make these pro-genocide statements, Hassan can endorse violence, nothing happens, they stay up on YouTube, there isn't an SPLC hit piece. There are teams employed by organizations like the ADL that sit and watch every minute of Nick's content, and he does 5 shows a week, so it's 10 to 15 hours of content, and they clip out 1 or 2 minutes, often joking clips, and then they shop that around, and that's really the only way he's allowed on these major platforms. Nick, I was with him a few days ago, he was telling me about the extent of the censorship after January 6th, and really, I think it's a watershed him being allowed back on, because people get censored, and we all know how bad the censorship has been the last year. But there was a point where, you get censored on a platform, you move to another platform, maybe that one bans you. But in Nick's case, I think he's one of the few people where it was an individual censored, it was an unpersoning across platforms, where even people that were posting his clips would get censored. If you search for him on YouTube, it was only very curated results from organizations like the SPLC. And, it's easy to come on and take this kind of like I said, this sort of naive pluralist attitude that it's just a free market and these companies just don't like these individual beliefs. But at the end of the day,
No,
you know,
you're
the
good,
companies
Curse.
aren't monitoring
I'm
these
chill.
individual
I'm
streamers, these individual personalities.
listening to this
These
fucking
boycotts
retard
are
Fuentes.
targeted and led by organizations like the ADL.
It's just I can't. It's so bizarre. Right, for them to yap was hard, and like they're clearly like hardcore sidestepping every point Destiny makes. And like and they keep bitching that like, oh, Destiny's taking all the screen time or whatever, but they've talked most of this hour and some change.
That forced Facebook to ban Holocaust denial, forced Facebook to ban white nationalism, launched a huge
Say someone forced Facebook to get rid of white nationalism is fucking insane. You know, how dare Facebook get rid of a fucking racist movement, but okay.
advertiser boycott on Twitter. And, you know, this isn't just some kind of organic thing where these organizations represent like a plurality of interests. It's oftentimes the same oligarchs funding these people that are funding the media. Jonathan Greenblatt was in the Obama administration. These organizations are really an extension of the regime. And to take this kind of naive attitude that this is just sort of civil society functioning as it does, and it's you know, free market making decisions about who to sponsor, it's just totally naive. So that's why I think it's such a... That's why I think it's a watershed moment that Nick is back on, because I think he has become the litmus test as someone who is, you know, the most attacked by these organizations, the most lied about. And he's really the only one that's come out the other side of censorship bigger than before. You know, individuals like Alex Jones have been heavily censored, Andrew Tate, but Nick has really come back bigger than 3-4 years ago. And it's at the point where despite all the...
Bro, what are you talking about? Alex Jones has a massive podcast, and he gets to go on Joe Rogan and all these places all the time. Wait, this is not the one I went to go to. So like, what the fuck are you yapping about?
censorship. I think everyone has to recognize he's a part of the public conversation. You know, Piers Morgan regularly name drops him. People mention his meeting with Trump. So, you know, Elon here is making, I think,
Sorry,
go ahead.
Let me just based on what you said, because I think you made a very important point, yeah? And Nick, let me ask you a question based on what Keith said. Obviously, as a side note about Al-Ahli Baptist Hospital, we know Israel did it, and we know Al-Shafa didn't have those.
Just 2 seconds, silly, sorry, silly.
Let me ask Nick a question.
Silly, just something came up, just 2 seconds. You remember how, I can't remember who it was, the joke that Nick made earlier, the quote, "You're right, we can't compare loving Hitler to loving Destiny. Destiny is far worse." We just saw just a prominent account snip that and say Nick Fuentes to Mario Nofo, and then they put that quote there, without putting out the full context that it's a joke. I think it's a perfect. I think so. Just want to make it clear. Yeah, I just want to make it clear. This is I think it's a bad joke. I think Nick even thinks it's a bad joke. He might disagree.
Wait, did Sneako say I
think it's a bad
him?
joke, but it's a joke nonetheless, whether it's good or bad. I think anyone that snips it, anyone on Twitter that takes that snippet and posts it, pretending it's not a joke, is participating in censorship, or at least tarnishing one's image.
Point, right, Mario? Because he's literally saying, you guys are taking my jokes out of context and making it seem like these are my ideological positions, and then we have that happen in real time. So if anything, just proves his point.
And Mario, you see what didn't go viral? Someone saying, "I hate Islam with every fiber in my body." Nobody clips that, and it does not go viral anywhere. You see the clear hypocrisy, the clear double standard.
And here's the thing. This is perfectly encapsulates.
So there's no hypocrisy. Because Destiny's very upfront with his beliefs, and like he is absolutely 10 toes down for them. Whereas like Fuentes is such a fucking massive pussy. Fuentes is such a massive pussy that like when he gets challenged on his beliefs, he won't even like admit them. He's like, it does this like half-assed like, well, I love everyone bullshit. But when he gets pressured by like Destiny or whoever, like even slightly, he cracks immediately. Like, the only reason he's in his Twitter circle is to get like a fucking circle jerk from the rest of the red pill dipshits here.
Happens with Nick, right? Nick gets censored, and anyone that works with him gets censored as a byproduct of platforming him. That's why most people are pussies and don't platform Nick, because they're scared of getting something like that just happen to them. This literally is quintessentially proves what we've been talking about.
But Nick, can I say...
To a degree,
Sorry,
they censor anyone that platforms him, and they...
Sorry, I can't hear Suleiman right now.
No, Myron is speaking, but Nick, can I just say... Sorry, Sully, I know I took the mic from you. I'm going to give it back to you, but Nick, can I just kind of put it on you? Are you, when you make jokes like this, are you really asking for it?
No, I think that's totally ridiculous. I think that
you are, though.
You know, this is like the person that gets abused by the battered wife. Well, what did you say? You know, or the rape victim. I'm raped. I've been raped. No, I'm kidding. That's an edgy joke. But it really is. Do we have a free society or don't we? Can we? Do we all have the same rights? Can we all make jokes? Can we all use rhetoric? Can we all speak freely? I haven't said a joke that's more offensive than, you know, for example, some people like Lil Nas X dancing on Jesus. If Lil Nas X got killed by like a bunch of Christians because they don't like the blasphemy, would you look at that guy and say, well, he had it coming, you know, that he did that? I mean, or any other.
Nick, how many people do you think died in how many Jews died in the Holocaust?
Okay, am I just going to be interrupted the whole time?
Bro, you gamble. You have literally yapped more than anyone else here. How many people?
Nick, I'll let you finish your point. Salam, I'll give you the mic because I know I took it from you. Destiny, I appreciate coming on stage and creating this debate, but we'll just take a bit of a break. Nick, I'll let you finish your point. We'll go to Sully, and Destiny will go back to you in a bit.
So no, I think that's totally ridiculous, and I think that, and the other thing is,
again, it's so wild that they're so desperate to have a Nick circle jerk that the moderator keeps getting mad every time Destiny like goes to push Fuentes like at all. Like, that's fucking crazy, bro. Like, I don't know, it really feels like a showing of how fragile Fuentes' ego is.
It's
it's like one of the weird things that happens in like Discords, and it kind of happens on Twitter as well. It kind of happens in these spaces too. I've noticed with the way they run them is you bring on people and then you suck them off as much as possible because they're your like celebs that get your viewership. So when people run big spaces like this, the only reason I'm invited is because they know that I'm going to bring an audience. And then Nick is here, but Nick is like their star, so they have to baby him as much as possible, which is why he'll never be forced to answer any questions. And the host will be like, "It's nice, Paul. It's just fucking, it's so boring." Ugh.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
You so handicapped that, I mean, it's just like Harrison Bergeron. You can't say anything. You're constantly interrupted. Constantly, the language is policed, and so on. So. And
then it's so boring because like all of his talking is it's just like it's him doing like his platitudes and his preaching. It's just like, so he just like rambles and does his like yap talking points. It's just so boring.
Clout, or people that are more mainstream than me, people like Shane Gillis as a good example. One of the funniest people around, recognized at this point, gets removed from the conversation because he's got the wrong politics or made the wrong type of a joke. So this, you know, aren't you asking for it, is like an insane totalitarian mindset, in my opinion. And it'd be one thing if I was one of these guys like the Blood Tribe that you see at these protests where they got a vein bulging out of their head and they're screaming, you know, obscenities and racial slurs, and you know, and that, you know, that might be one thing. I don't know.
Bro, you literally say racial slurs all the time. What are you yapping about?
But obvious jokes about things where everybody's laughing, or even if I'm just laughing, I think we can recognize that's part of the conversation. The bigger picture is who is behind the censorship. It's not that people. I didn't get kicked off Twitter because there was a grassroots, organic, mass support because they didn't like my jokes or they didn't find it humorous. I got banned from Twitter because there are groups, as Keith said, that since the time I was 18 years old have effectively been spying on me, watching everything, paid for it, with the stated intention, and that's their goal, of getting me censored because of the political things that I say. And you know that that's the case. You know, as Keith said, you know that you can't believe the alibi or the cover story because of the inconsistency. They don't do this to left-wing people. They don't enforce it against left-wing people because it's a matter of ideological censorship. If it was about the thing in itself, Hassan would be banned for posting a bomb schematic.
Again, that's not true because Destiny's been banned more than anybody in that group. So, like, what are you yapping about?
Obviously, and there are numerous other examples. Even regular conservatives can point this out. So,
nobody
with everything, it's political.
double standard.
So Nick, just a quick question. Nick, right? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. This is where he pretends to ask an impartial question.
Explained from a social media perspective, right? And even people have mentioned about this, your joke being taken out of context and clipped. What about from the mainstream media perspective and organizations such as ADL? If those organizations are up in arms about what they believe is hate speech, why is it, for example, they've come after you, they've made hit pieces against you, the ADL have come after you, but like, for example, not to mention Destiny again, but his extreme Islamophobia has been left unanswered. So is it, and does that then not, that's the first part, and the second part of the question, does that then not add more merit to your argument that there are certain people who are having control of the media, having control of the narrative?
100%. And I'll even match you another example. Ben Shapiro. Ben Shapiro, who's, I think, far more famous than almost anyone here except for probably Andrew Tate. Ben Shapiro, 20 years ago, was writing that we should, or rather Israel, should ethnically cleanse Palestine. He wrote actually several articles saying transfer is not a dirty word, and these people hate us, and we got to ethically cleanse them. Cool. Now, whenever you read an article about Ben Shapiro, you don't read Ben Shapiro, who 20 years ago in a town hall article wrote in favor of ethnic cleansing. It's not part of the conversation, but it is the case with me. It is the case with Keith. It is the case, presumably, if other people on the space step out of bounds, they'll say, you know, Mario
people are saying
and
Vitali got somebody killed?
Hosted, the white nationals, Nick Fuentes.
Is that actually true? Hold on, let me look up this real quick. I'm curious if he's actually telling the truth on this or if that's horseshit. Ben Shapiro. Take a look here. Give me 1 second. Apparently it is. Apparently Shapiro did say that. I'll have to do some more research on that on my own time at some point.
That it is ideological and it is about power.
But Nick saying the truth, that's a first.
Example is connected to Destiny. You may have noticed that lately Destiny has been getting bigger platforms. He was on a debate with Ben Shapiro, with Lex Fridman, with Jordan Peterson. And, you know,
is he really going at this point?
So not a fact, but a theory. I think that one of the reasons
a game to overlook theory.
Some of the disturbing things about his life or disturbing things that he said, but not with me, is because Destiny is one of the few pro-Israel leftists. So Jordan Peterson recently, who's at Daily Wire, Shapiro's company, somebody said, when will you talk to Nick Fuentes? Peterson said, when hell freezes over. Okay? And I'm a Catholic, right-wing guy. I mean, obviously far right, obviously not mainstream right. But when hell freezes over, that's when he'll sit with me or converse with me. And presumably in an extremely hostile way, if it ever happened. When Destiny, who lives a completely, and I don't say this as a personal attack, but lives a not conservative lifestyle, to put it respectfully, with some decorum, okay, somebody who really is a fundamental liberal on the issue of transsexuals or on climate or other things, well, Jordan Peterson smiles and sits with him in a friendly manner, and it's an intense debate, but in a very friendly way. Why is it that even conservatives will platform liberals, communists, in some cases Satanists, porn stars, Trent
What?
Horn,
Where's the Satanist thing coming from?
He's a Catholic apologist. He's also Jewish. They'll sit down with porn stars. Those people are not offensive enough to a conservative to refuse their company. But I am, because I made a joke or I said something, even, I'll grant you, let's say something that is completely heterodox in the conservative political space.
What?
That
Why
tells
is my
you
controls
what's
off
going
like
on.
that?
And as I said
That was
earlier,
weird.
the contours of what is called political correctness, what
He's so
explains
mad about
these
my
things,
growth.
is the position.
As much as you guys think like Hassan has been jealous or upset about me
Dave
growing,
Rubin,
bro,
as the last example
Nick
I'll
Fuentes
give.
is so ass
The
mad
last
about it, and his
example is
gripers
Dave
are.
Rubin. Dave Rubin built it, and we all recognize, built his brand saying, I'm a liberal, and I may not agree with you, but at least we can have a conversation. You know, Rubin Report, back in 2016, he was debating Shapiro and Milo and Peterson. He really put all these people on. He's part of the intellectual dork web. Dave Rubin's, he literally published a book. Hey, don't burn this book. You might disagree with my book, but don't burn it. But when people go and criticize...
His victim complex is just so wild to me. Like, it's so crazy to me that you can be this ass mad about being deplatformed, but not be able to realize that the reason you're deplatformed is because you're just, like, a hateful person. And that, like, everything you put out on Twitter and everything is, like, the most hateful shit there. And that you're using slurs and, like, talking bad about Jews and, like, other races and stuff. Like, that's... I just can't believe it, bro. It's wild.
Israel, then Dave Rubin blocks you on Twitter, attacks you on Twitter, and calls your boss and tries to get you fired. You know, all of a sudden, he wants to burn the books. Now we can't have a conversation. There are some things that we can't talk about.
Why isn't Hassan banned? Hassan is the wait, make him sense. Why isn't Hassan banned? He's the largest political streamer on Twitch. He has huge platforms on other, huge things on other platforms. Why isn't Hassan banned? Who is insanely anti-Israel?
Hassan isn't platformed by Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson.
He's platformed
so
by Twitch, which is represented by Amazon, which is it's got to be the most Jew-controlled fucking organization in the world. Why doesn't Hassan get banned? He's had ADL things written about
platforms.
him. You said that if you don't represent, so you don't think the ADL or any of the platform bans have to do with not towing the Israeli line?
Try getting it out. I'm talking specifically about Shapiro and Peterson.
Yeah, because you're talking specifically about it now because this contradicts your point. Yeah, you're yapping for 3 minutes. You won't own any point.
After you held the floor for an hour.
I haven't held the floor for anything. You interrupted me so many times. You're so happy. Oh my god.
Nick, I'm gonna George. You've heard Nick's joke earlier, and I saw one of your comments. You weren't too happy with it. Do you think jokes like this? Do you think anything that Nick said so far should be censored? I know you disagree with a lot of it, but do you think it should be censored?
Questions. Oh my god. Should jokes
Bro,
be
he's
censored?
asked this exact same question like 5 times throughout this whole thing. And nobody's ever, like, actually answered the question because they're, like, I guess terrified of pissing off Fuentes or something. I don't fucking know. But yeah, this moderator is asking the lamest fucking questions possible. Like, you have a controversial figure here and you're gonna, like, ask the lamest fucking questions possible.
It as a speaker.
Well, look, so why isn't Hassan banned for being anti-Israel?
Hold on, Desi, hold on, please. Go ahead, Mr. Santos, go ahead.
No, hold on. He still is a listener. But I mean, the reason is because he's so...
No, sorry, Sneako. Yeah, I think there's a glitch. You can't hear George Santos speaking right now. Yeah, Sneako. So George Santos speaking. No, not you, George. I'll drop Sneako and bring him back up. All good, George. The glitch was Sneako. Go ahead, George. Sneako, I'll drop you and bring you back up.
Okay. So very simple. To answer your question is, I don't agree with anything that Fuentes says. I used to think he was, harmless, and now he's out there, whatever. But I don't think he should be banned, but I don't think we should give him oxygen because he says a lot of
True.
things. I mean, his entire following.
Okay, George, I think you're the issue, but it's actually I'll drop you and bring you back up. But it's actually Brian, I'm gonna give you the mic.
As soon as somebody challenges Fuentes, bro, fucking mutes him immediately. That's crazy. They're so terrified of Fuentes getting pushed that as soon as the dude he's been begging to talk, shit talks Fuentes, he's like, okay, no, we're gonna have you stop. Like, bro. This moderator is fucking horrendous, bro. He's terrible.
I could probably make a similar point to George, hopefully, and I'll bring George back up.
Yeah, so I've heard some people talk, and I think Sneako might have said something that like Nick's been banned on all these platforms because he's been anti-Israel or he has spoken out against Israel. But I feel that there's a lot of minimizing of what Nick has said in the past, and he claims that it's a joke. You say like, oh, you joke around a lot, but like, were you joking when you said that you loved Hitler, or when you said that Jews have no place in Western civilization, or when you called for the Aryan race to go to victory? Like, were they all jokes?
Total Aryan victory, yeah, that's a joke. And loving Hitler,
no,
I do love Hitler.
Absolutely
in a
not.
Christian way. I love everybody, as I said. I love you.
You don't see why that might be
Destiny.
a problem. You don't see why that might be a problem, and that might be a little bit different.
Well, but
than
tell
some
me
things that
why.
these other
But
people
tell
have
me
said.
why. Why is that a problematic statement? Am I obligated to hate Hitler?
So would you say, so Nicola?
Saying that you need explained why calling for Aryan victory is a crazy, wild statement. I just, like, I don't know. If you're just that fucking stupid, I don't know what to tell you. Like, actually, I don't know what to tell you. Legitimately, if you need to explain to you why calling for Aryan victory was a problem, like, that you're a lost cause, my guy.
Nick, would you hate? Is there anyone on this planet that you would hate? Just first question.
No.
I know it's very
No,
broad.
we're
Nobody at all.
Christians, we have to love. Well, and this is the purpose of saying, and this is the thing I think that's getting lost. The purpose.
Nobody's
gonna
make him answer a question. Can I leave? This is so
why
fucking
would you
boring.
say something like that? It is to elicit a conversation like this. It is for people to say and question their assumptions. You know, why is it the case that we have to hate a person? Why? Who can we hate? Who can we love? And who says and why? Wait. So hang on. Me as a Christian, when you say things like, well, you know, you said Jews have no place in Western
He hasn't
civilization.
answered a single question.
I don't know
Yeah,
what
I
that
know.
specific quote is. But what I am saying is that Jews are not part of the same civilization in the sense that for thousands of years, they were segregated from Christians. I mean,
Do you think
no one
Muslims
can
are part of the
about
same
history.
civilization? Should
Okay,
Muslims be
am I
allowed
just
to run
gonna
for
get
office?
Hold on, Destiny. Let me go. Yeah, so Destiny.
Is it really?
Let me get.
He doesn't answer a single question.
Yeah, let me. Destiny. I will go back to you. I promise. Nick, I want to back and forth between you and Brian on Brian's particular point before going to Mr. Santos again. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, me too. And I'll make it brief, but you know, a statement
No,
like
you
that
won't.
is Jews are different than Christians, and they have lived in segregation or in conflict or in other ways with each other because they're not Christian. It is a Christian value that we say we love everybody. We love even our enemies. We love everybody. Jewish people say sometimes I think there was an article written in First Things recently by some Zionist, and they said, actually, there's a virtue in hatred. There's a virtue in hating the Palestinians or hating Hamas and things like that. And so, like, that does reflect a fundamental difference of values. And when I say, and Christians believe that evil is the Antichrist, the essence of good and God and love is selflessness. The opposite of that is selfishness, pride. So our adversary is not actually Hitler, it's the devil. It's the Antichrist. And the model of good is God.
What?
It seems like there's this parallel, separate moral system that's been created where, in some people's minds, Hitler is the devil, and
Yes,
I guess
like,
Israel
what?
is the angel or something. Like, that seems to be the people that are the most evil are the ones that are the most like Hitler.
How do you manage to try to gaslight the point so hard that you're acting like it's bad for Hitler to be depicted as the devil? What? That's such a wild fucking... That's so bizarre. Alright, broski. But no, like, clearly, Fuentes is the logical one in all of this. And again, like, they keep, like, doing this thing where they're like, oh, just let Fuentes finish real quick and we'll get back to you. But, like, Fuentes has been yapping this entire Twitter space.
And the goodest people, the best people, the most good, well, they're the ones that are the least racist, the least this. I think that's like an obfuscation. I think that obfuscates the fundamental moral equation for Christians. So when I say, and when me and Ye said
just
that...
To ask you a question on that.
I do want to go to... Just, let me get Brian to push back. So let me quickly ask a question, right?
It's going to be a one-word answer. Based on what you said, because you're basically applying Christian ethics, but let's say hypothetically someone was to kill your family member, would you apply the same standard that you would dislike the person but still love them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're supposed to love everybody. That's why that priest in Australia who got stabbed immediately prayed for the attacker. So that is really the fundamental difference.
And that's the difference. That's the reason Hasanabi gets to go on the mainstream platforms, is because he doesn't have that sort of basis of ideology.
Why does he get the fucking
When you come from the atheist point of view, they don't see you as a threat. Nick coming on here and saying that America should hold Christian values, that's the real threat to the Judeo-Christian system. Mario, there's a reason why Elon Musk is not... I mean, I love Elon Musk for reinstating...
Well, that's easy, because Sneako fucking agrees with Fuentes, and, like, the Mario dude just wants us to be, like, a Fuentes jerk-off session, sorry. He just wants us to be like a fucking circle jerk for Fuentes. It is bizarre to me that, like, they would invite Destiny when they know Destiny is, like, this outspoken, but they want to invite him anyways. Like, I don't know, it's weird.
The reason that he's not in this space right now is because we're talking about the Israel issue, the one issue that scares them the most. They're not supposed to speak about this. Look, the biggest lobby in America is not funded by the Chi-Coms or the globalists. The biggest lobby in America, AIPAC, 98% of their politicians are funded by Israel. This is the main issue. This is what it always leads back to, and the biggest threat is having people, strong people, like the Groypers that believe in God.
And also, I want to add this as well. Not only do they siphon off Nick's influence, but anyone that
are we going to get George Santos in here? That'll be fun.
Yeah. So let me get Brian.
Just a quick point.
Quick, please, Myron. I want to go to Brian then Mr. Santos.
I'm going to be very quick here. The thing I want to mention is that not only do they stifle Nick's influence, but they go ahead and try to stifle anyone that platforms him that isn't diametrically opposed.
No, Myron is speaking. Yeah, Myron, you've got the glitch. I'll bring you down and back up, and no one can hear you on stage. You go ahead, Brian, and then we'll go to Mr. Santos.
I just feel that you're trying to whitewash, no pun intended, some of the things you've said in the past. So I'll ask you flat out. I'm Jewish. I've had family members fight in World War II, in Vietnam. Do I belong in Western civilization?
I think that Jewish civilization is different than Christian civilization. I mean,
do I belong?
That is the most weasel. That is the most weasel answer I have ever heard in my life. He did not answer the question whatsoever. Bro did not answer it.
I mean, if I were in charge, I wouldn't deport you or something like that. I don't, those are subjective questions.
But you think I should have no power in this country?
I think you shouldn't be able to be the president. Yeah, absolutely.
Why?
Because I'll tell you exactly why.
Oh, now he's going to ramble for another 10 fucking minutes.
I think that any Christian cannot just throw it up and say, we're going to let the president... Okay, well, first of all, that's not true. Okay, that's based on a myth. No. They were Christian, and it was Christian people, and the framers, if you read in the Federalist Papers, it says that this is for one people of one faith on one land. John Jay, Federalist number 2. Look it up. It's in there. The framers all believe this. Regardless, leaving that aside... Show me where they say it's a Christian country. But leaving that aside...
Show me where they say it's a Christian country. Does it actually say that somewhere in the Constitution?
I just cited it. John Jay, Federalist number 2. John Jay, the Federalist Papers were written by the framers, and that was the basis of the Constitution.
That nobody that's not Christian should have no.
It didn't say that. No, it didn't say that explicitly. But it said that this is a country.
What are you basing?
Well, and also, okay, are you going to interrupt me, or do you want me to make my point?
Well, I'm
if you
just
want
trying
to say,
get to your
look,
thought process.
Well, but you're just like fucking randomly not making an
even
actual
if the founding
point.
fathers were not Christian, that doesn't matter to me, okay? The founding fathers are not the authority. God is the authority. And no Christian can say that we're going to let the country be run by whoever gets elected. Like, let's say atheists get elected, or let's say Muslims get elected, or let's say Satanists get elected. A Christian cannot say, well, the founding fathers said, or, well, so-and-so said that the people decided that we must live under some kind of regime. No, we believe that actually society should be receiving instruction from the church, that only moral people can lead, and that if you have people in charge that do not believe in God and don't actually follow God's laws, then you're going to have a country that's totally immoral or amoral and therefore totally sinful and offensive to God. I don't know how anyone could be a Christian and not believe.
Wait, make him answer the question of would you apply the same restrictions to Muslims as you would to Jews?
Absolutely, yes, 100%. I literally just said it. You weren't listening. I said we shouldn't let a Muslim be president.
Shouldn't. Yeah, you said president. So what about for Congress? What about for mayors?
Yeah, for Congress too. I said it earlier.
So no
Congress,
federal offices,
judges,
no state offices for
just Christians.
No Muslims as well. Okay.
Just Christians. Good. Yeah. Okay.
So if I said that the final authority belongs to Big Bird, why should my thoughts on that be weighed less than yours? Like, should we just look to Big Bird and ask Big Bird what the country should be run by?
Well, then you get into the subjectivity of morality. I mean, you could apply the same question about the country. It's like, would you be okay with some kind of Satanist being in control of the country? I mean, do you think that's okay?
Do I think it's okay? I don't think that any
should that be allowed to happen?
I don't think any religious text should be running the country. I think that the Constitution should determine how the country is run, not how one person thinks a God wants the country to be run.
Okay, like, but all laws, but this is a question of morality. All laws are based on morals. Saying that it's illegal to kill is based on morals. Saying it's legal to steal is based on morals. Saying that everyone should be equal, that's a moral statement. What if somebody gets elected that doesn't believe that everybody's created equal? And then they pass a law that creates an apartheid regime.
Morals aren't based on religion, though.
Wait,
morals aren't based on religion.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not. I'm not religious. I have morals.
They necessarily have to be.
If we say they necessarily are, why do we cite John Jay?
I have morals.
Wait, why do we cite the Federalist Papers? Why do we cite the Founding Fathers? If you want America to be a Christian nation, none of that is found anywhere in the Constitution.
I'm not citing them. I'm not citing them.
You literally cited John Jay in Federalist Papers #2, where by the way,
he said the founders weren't Christian.
I said the because they weren't Christian, but more importantly, they didn't enshrine Christianity in any part of our Constitution.
You're totally confused. First of all, you're interrupting. Second of all, you're totally confused. Yes, you are.
You acknowledge that your point of view is fundamentally anti-American. From the Founding Fathers, the framers,
100%. Americanism is a heresy in the Catholic Church. You know that if you fucking anything.
What?
You get all
why the fuck are you even in this country? Why not go fucking live in Rome, or go fucking live in the Catholic Vatican, or go live in fucking prehistoric wherever the fuck? Why be in the United States and try to change us into some theocratic regime when that's not fundamentally what the country is about?
We want to make it better. We want to improve it.
You don't want to make it better. You want to destroy the country. Like, you understand. The funny thing is, you are like as
you're literally
or worse than the Jewish invaders that you accuse of trying to destroy the country. You are overtly saying that you want to run it as a theocratic regime, that you want religion and God to be the number one thing we answer to and not the Constitution. Yeah, so you're worse than any Jew you accuse of trying to frame their law or their allegiance or whatever. You want to be loyal to the Vatican or whatever. And you say they want to be loyal to Israel. At least Israel is real. Like, what the fuck is the point of trying to say that the United States should be some theocratic regime and then act like you're better than any other group of people trying to change the country?
Because one is right and one is not right. You're
fuck me. How did I not know that? One religion is right and the other is wrong. You're the first one in history to think of that one, Nick Fuentes. Good one, Chief.
But that is
good one, Chief. Wait. What about all the dick sucks in here? Wait, hold on. Where's Sneako and Myron? How do you guys feel about the fact that Nick would see it so that you guys could never hold public office? You guys could never hold public office in Nick's America. Sneako stood up on stage. He supported him. Sneako said, "Yeah, I support Nick."
Yeah, Georgia, I know you were trying to speak earlier. I appreciate you waiting. I'll give you the mic. I think we got.
Bro, it's so funny that like every 5 seconds, every time Destiny or somebody pushes back on Fuentes, the moderator or somebody has to come in to save him every single time. Let me do. I'll switch back to Giovanna. But no, like that's crazy to me that like Myron and Sneako was something that's hard for him when they're actual dogs to him. Where if he had his way, they would not have any power. Like he literally just said that if he had control, anyone that's not Christian wouldn't be deported, but they would like have literally no power in the system. Like that's supporting somebody like that thinks that way about you is just insane to me.
To the end of the back and forth.
Because I started to talk, guys.
You wanted to answer that question?
I'm gonna skip the question just for now. We can get back to it in a bit. George, go ahead.
All right, no, thank you. Look, the debate on the topic of Nick Fuentes being silenced, I disagree. I don't agree in curbing anybody's speech. Does that necessarily mean we should all...
Oh, shit. It's okay. I promise you that I'll bring you down and back up. I will make sure you speak immediately right after. And just while I'm doing that, just quickly, Nick, how long have you and Destiny known each other? Because you guys seem like you're
why the softball questions, bro? He's got his own stream to be softball on. Make the Muslims in the call answer. Suleiman, Sneako, and Myron. Nick said he would never allow any Muslim in this country to hold public office. You're chill with that? You like that version of Nick's America?
It's much better than and like acting like we're even a majority in America is ridiculous. There's 3 million Muslims here. It makes more sense, and our ideologies align more than the alternative. I'd much rather have a Christian country than an atheist country. Yeah, if they're gonna have strong Christians that are gonna sort everything to the Bible, I think that makes sense. That's what the whole point of EA24 was. Let's rewrite a lot of these things. Let's make sure that all the laws that we push forward go right back to the Bible. I think
you'd rather live in a Christian theocracy.
I'm sorry, but saying that you'd rather live in a religious country that like you won't be able to have any form of power in just because it would be religious instead of it being atheist is fucking crazy. That's insane to me. That is actually unhinged.
Where Muslims aren't even allowed to hold office than you would in a secular democracy where Muslims can hold office.
Why are we subjected to this interrogation? Do you understand how it goes from, he's not...
Yeah, I know you're mad because you just want to fucking yap and preach. No, you're not. The question wasn't even directed to you. Let's take a answer.
Oh my George, you joined back at a perfect time. Let's see, hopefully... I wouldn't open it.
I got muted again.
Look, Nick is a friend of mine. Obviously, we disagree on this issue. You can disagree with people on specific issues. That's one of the issues that we disagree on. Go ahead, Mario.
Yeah, I was just gonna go to George. George, hopefully Nick can hear you this time around.
Do I need to leave him back because he still looks like a listener?
Can you guys hear me?
No,
can
guys,
hear me?
Yeah, Myron, just 2 seconds. Mr. Santos,
Okay,
I hope Nick can hear you this time around.
All right, can Nick hear me? Nick, can you hear him?
No, I think no one can hear him. I can't hear him. Yeah,
Muslims are literally the most cucked religion online. They are the most.
Yeah, okay, go ahead.
Muslims will cuck out to any celebrity. It's insane.
And hopefully the audience could hear, and then we could tell the voice.
Let's see here.
Yeah, the statement. I'm going to make a statement and a question. The statement is: should Nick Fuentes be censored?
Is this the George Santos? Is he even in fucking Congress anymore?
Is ugly, and the person who makes it should wear it. I don't care. But just based on what I've heard over the last couple of minutes here of Nick Fuentes, I mean. It's hard to even find that he has a following because every single thing he says
true actually fucking based.
He's Islamophobic, he's anti-Semitic. Every single aspect of this individual is built on hate. And what drives me absolutely bonkers is the fact that he calls himself a white nationalist. The guy's Hispanic. That's quite the clash of identity he has there, but which is fine. Who cares? That's his prerogative. But what
actually
I
based.
find hard to understand is the people who listen to the things he's saying and that they conform and agree. I mean, I've seen what the Groypers look like. They come in all shades and colors and religions. The fact that they can make amends with Nick Fuentes as their quote-unquote leader, whether it's one of his generals being in prison being subject to going to prison for 5 years for child pornography, whether it's him having porn on his on his computer and being exposed for it, but then denying it and not allowing
That was
porn,
fake.
but gay porn.
That was proven
Yo,
fake.
Mario, why are you
I
bringing
don't
this guy
care.
up here? Who is this guy?
I don't care.
I can't even hear what's being said.
I don't care.
He's bringing up the porn on the phone thing. That's like proven fake.
Unlike you want to acknowledge or not, I'm somebody who at least knows how to get elected.
I can't hear it, so.
How about that? You're never going to get elected. Nick's never going to get elected. You're never really going to be leaders of change or even representatives
Fuck you,
of any
based.
thought of your twisted, sick mentality. The fact that I'm sitting on the stage and I actually have to agree predominantly with Destiny and the Krasensteins, who are on the polar opposite side of the spectrum with me, is just to show you how Nick Fuentes is a seething, hateful person. I mean, and that's just my opinion. Now, Sneako, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. And Keith, if you want to shill for him, that's on you. But all you need to do is go on the purple pill and see exactly the nasty, vitriolic hate that Nick Fuentes and his followers drive to the conversation. I'm gay. I'm not ashamed of it. But to them, I'm not human. I'm subhuman.
Don't worry. As long as Fuentes isn't here, you're in good company.
Can I make a comment on that?
Dale.
Can I make a comment on that, please? Hey, George.
I can't even hear what's being said, so I don't think this is really fair.
So, Nick, let me tell him what he said, because he needs to respond, because there's a lot of, like, defamatory statements.
Sully, since Nicholas can't hear, should we bring him down and back up?
No, it's only George that he cannot hear. I think a couple of other speakers cannot hear him. Yes. Yeah, go ahead, Suleiman.
Yeah, so I mean, he's made a number of accusations against you. He's saying that you are Islamophobic because of your position. He also said you're anti-Semitic and your entire ideology is based on hate. He also made an accusation that you're friends with somebody who's been in prison for 5 years or something. And also he said something about you having child pornography on your computer.
Okay, well, I mean, he's Jewish, homosexual, drag queen, so
correct.
Bro.
ideological
What?
I didn't say he had.
As for pornography,
Sorry, 2 seconds, Nick. Sorry, 2 seconds, Nick. What correction did you want to make, George? And then we'll go to Nick.
Bro, I'm sorry. How I can't. How do you even support? Like, how do you even argue to support somebody? And how do you shill for somebody this hard? That, like, here is that the dude accusing him as gay and stuff and a couple other things. And you're like, well, he's homosexual and he's a drag queen. Like, bro, what? They'd say it as an insult. That's just Jesus.
The correct was, I didn't say child pornography.
Oh, okay, gay. So Nick, it was not child pornography. Big difference. Yeah, and Nick, it was gay porn, not child pornography.
He's thinking of Ali Alexander, the guy that Nick Fuentes defends all the time.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, Ali Alexander. Yeah, that's yeah. Go ahead, Nick.
Well, it's funny. I mean, the old Ali thing was.
Oh, Ali Alexander. I don't know.
Milo came out and
I barely
said,
follow these names.
"Oh, there's all this evidence," and it never came out. There was one thing where I guess he sexted some gay guy who apparently, I mean, at first it looked credible, and then this guy turned out to be following and commenting on like 100 other gay people stuff during that period. So that whole thing got completely debunked. As for
a gay guy following gay people is debunked.
Hatred and Islamophobia and whatever.
What? A gay dude follow other LGBT people on you know, it's just I'm just so shocked. I'm just, you know, it's just incredible, buddy. But I'm confused on how that like debunks it at all. But I mean, okay, Fuentes cook, I guess. It's so at a certain point, it's kind of hard to keep up with the retarded shit that Nick says.
Catholic. If you're Catholic, you believe that Jesus is God. You believe in the authority of the Catholic Church, and we can't live in a society that is completely separate from that. There's like this myth that Christians must be indifferent to their own religion and their own church. And, you know, and I said to Destiny, he said, oh, well, you know, you're the first person to say my religion is right and others are wrong. It's like, well, yeah, that's kind of the essence of religion, is that there are positive claims. They contradict other people's claims about the nature of God and all that. And yes, those ideas have consequences. If you believe Jesus is God and the Catholic Church has authority, you need to live in a society that's informed by that. And so, on the other hand, liberals believe in pluralism. Liberals who don't believe in God or have certain religious beliefs, they think that we have to defer all these questions or avoid all these questions, and they believe in the state that's like an umpire, and they're kind of letting people do whatever it is they want. But we're seeing the problems with that worldview, where a lot of different people are living here and they have mutually exclusive moral beliefs, and that becomes a very big problem. That's as evidenced by the trans issue or the gay issue or feminism or mass immigration of people from foreign religions. So
it's so wild that like Fuentes cannot give a straight answer on anything. Every single time he goes to talk, he like does this like fucking 20-minute yap session where he still manages to say literally nothing.
Well, I mean, but this is really just low IQ stuff. You're an anti-Semitic Islamophobe. I mean, what do these things even mean? I mean, specifically on anti-Semitism, that is the essence of a debate now about this recent law where we're looking to the IHRA for the definition, and it says that if you believe Jews are loyal to Israel, you're anti-Semitic. It's like, okay, well, you know, Jews, some of them are loyal to Israel. Believe it or not. I know that's crazy. Under that definition...
Yes, but the key word is some, dumbass. You peddle this thing that, like, all Jews, like, believe the same thing or whatever. So so it's fucking anti-Semitic to think that they all support Israel or whatever, or Palestine or whatever the fuck it says. Like, yes, that's anti-Semitic. If I say that, like, all black people or all Hispanic people believe this one thing, that's obviously fucking racist. Like, what's...
You be an anti-Semite. If somebody said, do you hate Jews? I would say, no, I love Jews. I love everybody. If someone said, do you hate Muslims? I'd say, no, I love Muslims. I love everybody. And I have Muslim friends on this space. Suleiman, I count you as one of them. Myron, Sneako. I have Jewish friends like Laura Loomer and other people that are not public figures. So I mean, this is really just inane stuff. Surely we can have a higher IQ debate than you're a pornographer and you're a racist and you're an anti-Semite. This is just kind of like the same mob stupidity that you get from liberals in general. So I don't know why this guy was ever in Congress or Republican. I don't know, frankly, why he's on the space. You got two disgusting degenerates between Destiny and George Santos. You got a gay drag queen who got ran out of office.
All right, I gotta leave pretty soon. Can I do a final question before I leave?
And a couple of abandoned children. So I mean, these people, in my view, just do not have credibility on these subjects.
Nice. Okay,
so Destiny, do you mind? I'm gonna go to George for the two questions, then we'll go to yours right after.
Yeah, I would prefer if we didn't, because I can't hear him, and that's not really fair.
I think it's working. I think it's working out. George, you wanna try one more time?
Why does it sound bad?
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me now, Nick?
You can?
No, I cannot.
I wouldn't be... honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Fuentes can hear him perfectly fine. He just doesn't want to, like, talk to Santos because he's that massive of a pussy. Also, Nick saying that he can't believe Santos got in office is, you know, kind of crazy. When, like, obviously the reason Fuentes can't get in office is because everything he peddles is, like, incredibly racist and, like, hateful rhetoric. So obviously he's not going to get voted into office for shit.
Okay.
You know what? I struggle to vote Mario.
It's not really appropriate for him to talk if I can't hear him.
But
no, okay. Is it okay if I repeat the question to you?
No,
do one question from
no. That's totally inappropriate. You can't have him accusing me of being a child.
Bro, he is such a child. He is literally a 5-year-old child. No, that's inappropriate. And he's like, his camera's not even on, and I can see him, like, crossing his arms and stomping his feet.
Pornographer, and I can't even hear what he's saying. I think that's inappropriate to begin with, and then for that to go on when I can't...
Just ask him if he's gay or not. That's all I want to know. It's a yes or no question.
Do you want to ask that question? It's a pretty simple question.
I mean, it's a bit of a dumb question, right?
Asked by a drag queen, by the way.
So it's a question about your sexuality, Nick. I'm not sure how it's relevant, but I'll ask it just because it was asked, and then we'll go to Destiny right after. Not sure if you want to answer that question, Nick.
I just want him to.
What's the question? Well, I don't want to
just, are you-
participate in this if people are going to be talking and I can't hear them. That's not
Yeah,
fair.
no, all good. So it's just, it was a
Hold on.
the question. Hold on, guys.
I've been waiting a while.
So let me. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Myron and then Destiny. So the question after you, Nicholas, Nick, if you want to answer it or not. So George Santos asked the question if you're gay or not, and then Myron wanted to speak, and then Destiny wanted to ask a final question. So up to you if you want to answer the question, Nick.
Question, isn't it? Like that's a ridiculous question. And to be honest, and to be honest, like George Santos, the guy who's basically conducted in more Islamophobia than anyone knows, ironic that he would say that. But anyway, go ahead, Nick.
I think Nick is pretty good at defending himself. Go ahead, Nick.
I have said it repeatedly, and I have no problem with hard questions, but I can't hear him, and these are not even.
So that's just not true. You pussy, out of every single question, I don't think he's answered a single question that Destiny has asked this entire Twitter space. So I'm saying, well, I don't have a problem with like these hard questions. Like, that's not true. Every time you get pressed on anything, the moderator or Sneako has to fucking jump in and be like, and try to derail the conversation.
Questions. This is just asinine personal attacks. So I'm frankly, if this is how it's going to be, and I don't know if you're hearing me, but I'm not going to participate if it's.
No, we can hear
you're
you.
bringing people up to call me a gay pornographer, and then I don't even hear the question. This is ridiculous. I'll suffer even a little bit of Destiny, hard questions, but I can't even hear the guy.
Yeah, let me go to Myron. Myron, you've been waiting for a while, and I appreciate that.
I'm leaving.
Yeah, no worries, man. No worries. See, here's the thing. This is what they do with Nick, right?
No, I think, yeah, Myron. I think Nick just left. I'll let you mention your comments. I think it was a good debate, though.
He'll be back.
But go ahead, Myron.
Yeah, so this is what they do, right? They discredit Nick by calling him a white supremacist, an extremist, he's built on hate, etc. But that's not true. 3 of the people here on this panel right now are Muslims and he's friends with us. He's friends with Laura Loomer, who's Jewish and a Zionist. He has other Jewish friends. But they do this to disqualify his opinions and his views on things. Here's the reality. People cancel him because he talks about Jewish power in the United States and Jewish influence in American politics, which is absolutely true. That's why George Santos right now does not want to agree with him, because he understands the people that back him are Jewish lobbyists. That's the truth. America is run by AIPAC when it comes to political situations, and Nick has been critical of this for years, and they don't want him to be able to put that information out. Now, after October 7th, people are seeing the light of who really runs this fucking country from a political standpoint, and that is the truth. But they go ahead and try to say he's a white supremacist and make all these comments to disqualify the very valid points he makes.
Yeah.
So, 2 things. 1, Fuentes has not made a single point in this entire, 2 hours. Secondly, Fuentes is literally a white supremacist. I believe he's even called himself that. So I don't know what the fuck you're yapping about, Myron.
And I do, Sully, I'll let you ping Nick if you want to come in, but I think we went way over time with the space anyway. Destiny, I know you had a question for Nick, but you and him went back and forth.
I guess basically just like a comment.
I want to get
comment on
thoughts from Keith. Keith, you've been doing a lot of spaces with Nick. Your final thoughts on Nick being reinstated, and I know you were speaking earlier when we interrupted.
Yeah,
bro.
I know Nick dropped. I think he's actually doing a space on his own channel now if people want to continue it there.
Yeah, I think what we'll do, Keith, we'll give you the final word, and then anyone that wants
to be clear, Nick is the only one here that said he wanted to block Muslims from running for office. So he's the most Islamophobic here. He's the most.
I'll avoid, guys. I'll avoid.
He also didn't answer any questions directly.
Guys, what I'll do is, because Nick is not here, I just want.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Okay. All right. What a
bro.
Yap fest. God, the Twitter space meta. I guess it's big. There's a lot of duders. Here's a community. If you want, join the Twitter community. We might start doing the Twitter space meta. I guess if politicians and shit join, why the not? Or I'm sorry, X. Here you go. Also, listen. Okay, if you are, there's probably groupers here. I don't give a. Or if you're stuck in the middle or whatever. Okay, listen. If you want this country to look like a particular thing, or if you have a view of this country that you want that is completely and wholly different than what this country's ever looked like, then God bless you. You live in the United States of America. Unlike all the other countries that you seem to enjoy more than this one, you're actually allowed to advocate for those things here. Okay? When people talk about turning this country into a theocracy, it is a bullshit-ass claim. When somebody tries to cite the Federalist Papers #2, where John Jay talks about the importance of having a cohesive national culture and try to pretend that meant that he wanted us all to be Christian, listen, okay? The Founding Fathers were attention whores, all right? These people wrote so many pamphlets, so many papers, so many books. They wrote the Constitution. These guys wrote so much. If they wanted the United States to be a Christian country, we wouldn't have to play decoder Inspector Gadget to try to figure out where that is. All right, there wouldn't be anything up to interpretation. It'd probably just be written in the Constitution itself. Okay, it's not like it would have even been like that crazy at the time to make it a Christian country if they wanted to. Okay, so always remember that when people say this was founded as a Christian country, that is bullshit. Okay, number one. Okay, number two. When you have people that are coming up here saying, I think Jews want to do this thing where they oppress certain religions or certain races or some bullshit, listen, that is literally explicitly what Nick is saying he wants to do. He wants to make it a Christian country and then ban Muslims and Jews from running for office. Like, why? What's next? They can't vote? Or like you don't want them to immigrate here? Or like is it only... And also, keep this in mind too. If you are a Christian, okay, Fuentes is not Christian. Fuentes is Catholic, okay? So I didn't get to ask him this, but I'm pretty sure that... if you were to ask him, not only would he say, you know, Muslims and Jews shouldn't be able to run for office, he'd probably say Christians shouldn't be able to run for office either, okay? Catholics had a really brutal history fighting Protestants a long time ago. It's not like that these two people, like, separated and got along and were, you know, super cool with each other. So, yeah, that bullshit. And if that anti-American shit, too. It's like, it's just not, like, he's saying, like, this liberal place. Like, if he were to try to pull this shit in any other country, he would get, like, executed, okay? If you were to go to Saudi Arabia and say some shit about how you want to start a different type of religion, or if you go to the Dark Ages, you know, in these, like, Catholic ran countries or some bullshit, you're like, oh, yeah, like, I think we need to be a blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. Are Catholics not Christian? Fuck no. If you're a Catholic and somebody's like, are you Christian? You say, fuck no, I'm not crap.
Yeah, my understanding is Catholics and Christians fucking hate each other with, like, a burning passion. But anyways, yeah, like, that's wild. The moderator in Sneako and then we're playing such hard defense for Fuentes. And it's kind of shocking. I don't know, like, again, I can't imagine playing defense for somebody that thinks you're the equivalent of a dog. And that has literally said that you wouldn't have any power if he had his way. So, I don't know. That's wild to me. But I think it's going to be it for us for tonight. I appreciate you all hanging out. I hope you all enjoyed the reaction content for a little bit. The Discord. Sorry about that. The Discord is in the chat. Actually, here. Should be this. Yep, there you go. So Discord and the Snapchat are in the chat. Other than that, I will see y'all tomorrow. I will definitely be live at some point tomorrow. I'm not quite sure when yet. I would like to say noon, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Other than that, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Talk to you later. It was a fun stream. Peace.